Chapter 1559. Black Sect? By Xiaoyan's words made Jiangchen frown. What's wrong? Seeing Jiangchen's reaction, Bai Xiaoyan thought she had said something wrong. I just suddenly thought of something. Jiangchen shook his head. As they spoke, Zhang Jiao came back from outside. He held 3 promissory notes in his hand, but they weren't the ones he had taken out. One of them was 100 million, and the other 2 were 100 million immortal jade. They were the money he had gotten back. The money you owed to the Ganges Bank has been cleared. Zhang Jiao patted his pocket. This transaction had allowed him to raise close to 20,000 immortal jade. This made him unable to control his smile. Even as he spoke, he was trying his best to hold back his laughter. Zhang Jiao, if he comes to the Ganges Bank to borrow money in my name again in the future, you can't give him any more money. If you do, you can look for whoever lent you the money. Even if you look for me, I won't do anything about it, Jiangchen said to Zhang Jiao helplessly while looking at the 400 million immortal jade. Jiangchen, who is the person who lent you the money? Even if he's a friend, he can't let you pay such a huge debt again and again, right? Zhang Jiao was a little unhappy. He can be considered someone who has helped me before. Jiangchen frowned slightly. He couldn't tell by Xiaoyan that the person who had lent him the money was Wan Cheng. He couldn't say that he was an ordinary friend, so a benefactor was the best explanation. Even if he's a benefactor, you can't do this, Bai Xiaoyan said reluctantly. Zhang Jiao, from now on, no matter who comes to the Ganges Bank to borrow money in my name, if you lend it out again, don't even think about getting a penny from me. Jiangchen took a deep breath and looked at Zhang Jiao, who was standing in front of him, as he spoke in a low voice. Okay, I'll remember. Zhang Jiao could only nod in agreement when he saw Jiangchen get angry. There's one more thing I want to ask you. Jiangchen took out 100 million notes and placed them in front of Zhang Jiao. I heard that the Ganges Bank has extensive connections in the immortal world. Do you know about the situation in the outer domain? Of course. The outer region is also a part of the immortal plane, Zhang Jiao said, patting his chest. Well, tell me about the situation of the Black Sect. Jiangchen nodded and said, The Black Sect is one of the most mysterious sects in the outer domain. Our Ganges Bank isn't particularly familiar with this sect, and the information about this sect is rather secretive in our bank. I'm afraid we can't tell you about the 100 million immortal jade note. Zhang Jiao looked at the 100 million immortal jade note on the table and fell into deep thought. How much do you need? Jiangchen frowned. I don't know. This is not something that I can come into contact with. If you really want to know, I can ask the higher-ups, Zhang Jiao said, shaking his head. Go ask and give me an answer. At the thought of how the headmaster of the Black Sect had recognized his dark sky, and at the thought of how he and the Black Divinity Sect were all using immortal power of the dark attribute, Jiangchen was very confused. Now that the Black Sect had their eyes on him, it would be difficult for him to even take precautions based on his little knowledge of them. As for the life-saving method that the Thousand Harmony Sect's great elder said, Jiangchen didn't completely believe it. In this world, you can only survive by relying on yourself. Others can't always save you. Moreover, the sect master of the Black Sect was too strange. Even if he had the strength to fight above his level, he still had to understand the other party. Okay, I'll go now. Zhang Jiao didn't hesitate and immediately walked out. Sitting in the room, Jiangchen stared at the notes on the table in a daze. More than 3 billion notes, it could be said that all of them were taken out. Little junior brother, you can't do such a thing in the future. Even if he is your benefactor, he can't let you pay back more than 3 billion immortal jade. Even if he saved your life, it's not worth this price. This person obviously treats you as a sucker. 3 billion immortal jade. I'm afraid that not many sects in the immortal world can come up with it. Watching Zhang Jiao leave, Bai Xiaoyan couldn't help but remind him. I know, senior brother. Jiangchen nodded. While they were talking, Zhang Jiao came back. You two, if you really want to know about the Black Sect, then come with me. I'll take you to see the higher-ups of the bank, but this Black Sect is one of the more mysterious sects in the outer domain. Even if we can find out a little information, we have to pay a high price, so the price is naturally higher. Zhang Jiao pushed the door open and said in a hurry, Remember what I just said. If he comes to your bank again in the future, you are not allowed to lend it out. Otherwise, I won't pay it back. Before walking out of the door, Jiangchen patted him on the shoulder and said, "Remember, remember." Zhang Jiao didn't dare to offend such a big customer. Under Zhang Jiao's lead, Jiang Chun and Bai Xiaoyan went up the stairs to the top floor. Compared to the noise below, this place was obviously quieter. Zhang Jiao brought Jiang Chun to a door, cupped his hands, and went down. "Is anyone here?" Glancing at Bai Xiaoyan, Jiang Chun reached out and knocked. "Please come in." A relatively old voice came from the room. Pushing the door open, bookshelves were everywhere, on which there were all kinds of bamboo slips and paper. On each book, there were obvious labels like the Eastern Domain, the Northern Domain, and other places. Looking around, Jiang Chun saw a very small shelf behind the old man. There were only a few books on it, and the label on it was the Outer Domain. It seems that even the Eternal River Bank doesn't know much about the Outer Domain. Seeing this scene, Jiang Chun whispered to Bai Xiaoyan, "I guess it will be difficult to get information about the Black Sect from him. Even if there is, it should be some useless information." Bai Xiaoyan also came in front of Jiang Chun and said, "Zhang Jiao just told me that you want to inquire about the Black Sect in the Outer Domain. Is that right?" The old man didn't seem to hear Jiang Chun and Bai Xiaoyan's words. He put down the pen in his hand and looked sideways at Jiang Chun. "That's right, I want to inquire about the Black Sect." Jiang Chun nodded and went forward to sit on the stool in front of him. "I don't know if Zhang Jiao told you that the Black Sect is one of the more secretive sects in the Outer Domain. It is difficult to find information about them, so the price is naturally more expensive than other information. I don't know if you can accept it." The old man pointed to the shelf behind him. Jiang Chun looked over. There were a few thin pieces of paper where the old man pointed. "That's it?" Looking at such a short piece of paper, Jiang Chun was a little embarrassed. "How much could be recorded on it?" "Yes, that's it. We know too little about the Black Sect. If you are willing to take a look, you can take 200 million immortal jade." The old man nodded and said. Chapter 1560. "Old man, you're too greedy. Let's take a look at 200 million immortal jades. Moreover, there shouldn't be any important clues in here. Just a few pieces of paper. Do you really think we're fools?" Hearing the price, Bai Xiaoyan, who was about to keep quiet, couldn't help but speak up. "Yeah, even if I used 200 million immortal jades to hire spies, I would probably get more information than you." Jiang Chun also felt that it wasn't worth it. Jiang Chun didn't think the contents of these pieces of paper were that important. Otherwise, Zhang Jiao and the old man in front of him wouldn't have spoken like this. If it was a few tens of millions, he could still accept it. But 200 million immortal jades? Jiang Chun wasn't that kind of nouveau riche. Moreover, there were so many senior and junior brothers in the Divine Secrets Pavilion waiting for him to feed them. If you don't think it's worth it, then don't look at it. The old man's expression was very normal. "Little junior brother, let's go." Bai Xiaoyan pulled Jiang Chun's arm. "Senior, then we'll take our leave. If you want to inquire about any more information in the future, please come again." Jiang Chun cupped his hands towards the old man and left with Bai Xiaoyan. Just as the door closed, Bai Xiaoyan couldn't help but say, "This Ganges bank really doesn't live up to its reputation. I thought the information would be widespread. Just 2 pieces of paper, and they actually want 200 million immortal jades. They're really crazy about money. Don't mention it. After all, the Black Sect is a sect from the outer region. If others hear about it, it'll be bad for us." Jiang Chun waved his hand and interrupted Bai Xiaoyan. "All right." Bai Xiaoyan didn't dwell on it, but after thinking about it, she looked at Jiang Chun with a smile and said, "Little junior brother, why don't you deduce it? Maybe you can deduce the situation of the Black Sect." "Forget it, my ability isn't that strong," Jiang Chun said lightly. After leaving the Ganges Bank, Jiang Chun found 2 protectors of the China sect in a small inn nearby. The next day, Jiang Chun and the others returned to the Thousand Harmonies sect. After leaving the Ganges Bank, Jiang Chun originally wanted to return to the Kunlun Celestial Mountain to take a look. However, he realized that it would take almost 2 days for a round trip, and there were only 3 to 4 days left before the Immortal Emperor's tomb opened. It would be better to directly return to the Thousand Harmonies sect and follow the Great Elder's advice. Before the tomb opened, they would first go with the people from the Thousand Harmonies sect to take a look at the situation. This way, they would be able to understand the situation in advance. When the day came, They would also be able to avoid some of the traps and hidden arrows inside. He rested for the entire morning. In the afternoon, the Great Elder gathered several protectors in the sect and prepared to take a look at the immortal Emperor's tomb. This time, he naturally brought along Jiang Chun and Bai Xiaoyan. The immortal Emperor's tomb was still quite a distance away from the Thousand Harmonies sect. It wasn't until the sky was completely dark that everyone arrived. After arriving in front of the immortal Emperor's tomb, the Great Elder ordered a few protectors. The few of you go and guard the surroundings. Now that the news has been spread, there might be people from other sects coming here to scout. If you see them, immediately chase them away and say that it's my order. Don't let them come close. Yes, Great Elder. The few of them nodded in agreement and immediately scattered in all directions. Jiang Chun. This is the immortal Emperor's tomb. After walking forward for a distance, the Great Elder stood on a slope and pointed down as he spoke to Jiang Chun. It's so big? Jiang Chun quickly followed. When he looked down, he couldn't help but feel a little surprised. This immortal Emperor's tomb was a mausoleum that was buried deep underground. It looked very grand and was at least a few thousand feet wide. When he raised his head, he couldn't see how long it was. That's right. Immortal emperors were all tyrants. After they passed away, their tombs would naturally be more magnificent than those of ordinary people. If it weren't for the disciples of our sect picking herbs here, I'm afraid we wouldn't have discovered it. Just to let it see the light of day again, the immortal kings of our Thousand Harmonies sect cleaned it for 3 days in a row. Only when the immortal chi in their bodies was about to dry up did it become like this. Even though he had already been here before, the Great Elder still felt a little shocked when he saw it again. Where do we enter from? Jiang Chun looked carefully and asked. I don't know. I've been here a few times, but I've never found the entrance. Previously, I wanted to directly rush to the middle and enter the mausoleum from the middle. However, as soon as I reached the top of the mausoleum, a poisonous arrow shot out. Fortunately, I dodged in time. Otherwise, no one would have been able to save you the day before yesterday. The Great Elder placed his hands behind his back and shook his head with a smile. It seems that even if people from other sects come here, they might not be able to enter. The things in this immortal emperor's tomb are not so easy to take away. Perhaps if they charge indirectly, there will be casualties. Jiang Chun smacked his lips and couldn't help but sigh. Then it has nothing to do with me. It's already not easy for me to spread the news. Do you want me to tell them everything about the mausoleum? The Great Elder laughed out loud. This was also one of the reasons why he chose to spread the news. He already knew that there were traps and hidden weapons in the immortal emperor's tomb, but he didn't know how many there were. If the disciples of the sect were to enter just like that, it would probably cause quite a lot of casualties. The Great Elder didn't want to see that. That was why he chose to spread the news. If those sects didn't know about this situation, they would definitely rush in because of the immortal emperor's tomb. If they wanted to get the good things inside, they would definitely trigger the traps, and he could take advantage of this opportunity to memorize all the traps. This way, when the disciples of the Thousand Harmonies sect entered, they would be able to avoid them to the greatest extent. If those sects pursued the matter, they could also directly shirk responsibility. Ha ha, Great Elder is really scheming. After hearing these words, Jiang Chun couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. This proved one thing even more, and that was that there was no such thing as a free lunch. What's scheming? I just want to share the immortal emperor's tomb. As for who can take away the treasures inside, it all depends on fate and luck. The Great Elder couldn't help but laugh hoarsely. Standing outside the mausoleum, Jiang Chun continued to size up the situation. He could roughly distinguish that the tomb was divided into 3 parts. The most luxurious area could be seen at the front. These buildings were at least 20 meters tall, but they were now buried underground. A little further back, there were some ordinary houses. Further back, there were rows of houses. Although it was called a tomb, it looked more like a sect. Great Elder, do you know anything about the Black Sect? After looking for a while, Jiang Chun changed the topic and asked. Previously, the Great Elder had only taken a glance at the Black Sect's sect master and was able to identify him. Therefore, Jiang Chun thought that the Great Elder might know more about the situation than the Ganges Bank. Everyone, not many people know about the white-robed immortal king. It was a slip of the pen. A slip of the pen. Chapter 1561. Oh, why did you suddenly ask me? Grand Elder was surprised by Jiang Chen's question. Grand Elder, to tell you the truth, I asked the Ganges Bank about the Black Sect when I went to pay my debt, but the Ganges Bank didn't have much information about the Black Sect. They only had 2 pages. They even asked me for 200 million immortal jades, so I didn't agree, Jiang Chen said, touching his nose. You want to ask the Ganges Bank? Grand Elder immediately frowned. Yes, I heard that the Ganges Bank has connections all over the immortal realm. I think they might know something about the Black Sect. Jiang Chen nodded. He didn't know why Grand Elder had such a strong reaction. Sigh. The Ganges Bank isn't as simple as you think. If you have similar questions in the future, don't go there, Grand Elder sighed and said. Why? Jiang Chen didn't understand. The Ganges Bank has connections all over the immortal realm and knows almost everything. Have you thought about how they know all this? Grand Elder didn't explain. Grand Elder, do you mean the Ganges Bank might have something to do with the Dark School? Jiang Chen was surprised to hear this. I don't know about that, but at least they have connections with some sects in the outer regions. As for whether these sects have connections with the Black Sect, I don't know. Grand Elder shook his head. He didn't have a deep understanding of the Ganges Bank. So that's how it is? Jiang Chen was enlightened. At first, he thought that the Ganges Bank knew about this because they had many spies who went to various places in the immortal world to spread the news. But now, it seemed that the Ganges Bank had connections with most of the powers. That's why the Ganges Bank isn't a good place. If you want to get some information from them, it's fine. But if you want to get information about a certain power, I'm afraid that the other party will know about it while you're doing so, Grand Elder said with a faint smile. Then Grand Elder, do you know about the Black Sect? Jiang Chen tilted his head and looked at the old man standing at the side. I don't know much about it. What do you want to know? The Great Elder pondered for a moment. Blackgate Sect Master, I want to know his situation. Jiang Chen didn't hesitate. He wanted to get to the bottom of this person now. That's a pity. That person's identity is very confusing. Let alone me. I'm afraid not many people in the entire immortal realm know about him. As for his Black Sect, I know the general location. Do you want to go? Speaking of this, the Great Elder lowered his voice. Forget it. With my current strength, even if I found his sect, I would be walking right into their trap. Jiang Chen shook his head and smiled helplessly. It doesn't matter. At least with me here, the sect leader of the Black Sect won't dare to make a move against you. When you return to the Kunlun Immortal Mountain, he will also be afraid of the Immortal King there. Just be careful on the way. Sigh, look at my memory. I almost forgot something. As he spoke, the first elder suddenly slapped his head. What is it? Jiang Chen asked. Previously, I said that I would give you a gift that would make you not afraid of the sect leader of the Black Sect. There was a hint of guilt in the first elder's tone. I've been busy with the Immortal Emperor's tomb these past few days. I actually forgot about it. What a sin. Ah? What gift? Jiang Chen was somewhat curious. Could it be some kind of treasure that could block the attack of an immortal king? Although it was true, Jiang Chen wasn't afraid of the sect leader of the Black Sect. But after all, now wasn't the time to reveal his true strength. Moreover, if he could earn benefits from the Qinna sect for free, only a fool would refuse. I'll tell you when we go back. I think you'll definitely be interested. You've only taken the treasure of our Qinna sect. You can be considered half a member of our Qinna sect. The first elder narrowed his eyes like a cunning old fox. Cough, cough. First elder, I'm a disciple of the Kunlun Immortal Mountain. It doesn't matter. I won't accept you as a disciple. I'm the Pavilion Master of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. Our Qinna sect won't give you the position of Pavilion Master. I'm also the leader of the Overseas Immortal Mountain Alliance. Our Qinna sect won't join the Overseas Immortal Mountain Alliance. After a series of conversations, Jiang Chen was no longer angry. How about it? I'm not going to accept you as a disciple, and I'm not going to give you the Qinna sect. I just hope that our relationship can be closer. This way, if our Qinna sect encounters trouble in the northern region, you can help. If you encounter trouble in the eastern region, our Qinna sect will definitely help. Looking at Jiang Chen, The first elder said word by word. All right, I agree. Seeing that the first elder had said so, Jiang Chun could only agree. If he refused again, it would seem a little unreasonable. Young man, you're not bad. I admire you. The first elder was immediately happy. After standing in front of the immortal emperor's tomb for a while, the first elder briefly explained his understanding of this place to Jiang Chun. Just as everyone was about to leave, the protectors of the sect came back from not far away. Behind them were a few people in black clothes. First elder, they're just wandering around nearby. We've already rushed over once, but we didn't expect them to come back, even though they said they were going to leave. So we brought them here and let the first elder deal with them. The protectors dragged the few people in black directly to the first elder. Which sect are you from? Looking at these people, the first elder asked with a smile. We're from the Wansho sect. The sect master asked us to inquire about the situation in advance. He felt that there might be something wrong with your China sect revealing the location of the immortal emperor's tomb. The person standing at the front spoke directly, without any hesitation. Then did you see anything wrong? The first elder asked. No, we didn't see anything. The few people shook their heads. Since you didn't see anything, then leave this place immediately. Go back and tell your sect master that you'll come back in 5 days. If I find out that your Wansho sect dared to inquire about the situation in advance, then you won't be qualified to enter the immortal emperor's tomb. The first elder waved his hand and turned around to lead everyone back. Wait, you just said that you're from the Wansho sect, right? As soon as the first elder finished speaking, Jiang Chun spoke. That's right. They all nodded. Since you're from the Wansho sect, I have a question for you. You must answer me honestly. Jiang Chun glanced at Bai Xiaoyun and said, I heard that your Wansho sect took advantage of the moment when the 3 immortal kings of Tianlang Mountain were injured to cause trouble, right? Chapter 1562. Big Brother is not just our Wansho sect. Many sects in the eastern region have been there. Hearing this, the disciple of the Wansho sect was immediately afraid. He thought that Jiang Chun had some special relationship with Tianlang Mountain. Answer my question. Jiang Chun frowned slightly. Yes, we've been there. The disciple of the Wansho sect said honestly. Then did you see if the 3 immortal kings of Tianlang Mountain were injured? Jiang Chun continued to ask. No, I didn't see the others, but Ku Jie came out of the sect. He didn't look like he was injured at all. The disciple of the Wansho sect shook his head vigorously. When these words were said, the expressions of Jiang Chun and Bai Xiaoyun changed. Previously, their impression of this matter was completely based on the rumors in the eastern region, but now that they heard it from the disciple of the Wansho sect, the recovery of the 3 immortal kings of Tianlang Mountain could be confirmed. Moreover, in front of the grand elder of the China sect, these disciples of the Wansho sect would not dare to lie. All right, it's fine. After pondering for a while, Jiang Chun waved his hand. After receiving Jiang Chun's signal, these disciples of the Wansho sect fled in panic, not even daring to look back. Now it seems that the recovery of the 3 immortal kings of Tianlang Mountain should be related to the Black Sect. With the strength of Tianlang Mountain, they definitely wouldn't have such an effective pill. I really didn't expect that the sects of our eastern region would be involved with the forces of the outer region. It seems that it's necessary to make Tianlang Mountain disappear completely. Once the Black Sect uses Tianlang Mountain to enter our eastern region, I'm afraid that our sects won't have a good life. The Grand Elder took a deep breath. As a member of the China sect, he had to consider this. Jiang Chun didn't say much. He wasn't afraid of Tianlang Mountain, nor was he afraid of the so-called Black Sect. If these 2 forces dared to cause trouble for him, Jiang Chun could deceive them until they didn't even have their underwear left. After all, the heavenly secret pavilion of the white-robed immortal king had already landed in his hands. He had even learned the art of divination. No matter how strong the sect leader of the Black Sect was, how could he be stronger than the white-robed immortal king? Boy, if our eastern region is in trouble, will your secret pavilion help? The first elder turned to look at Jiang Chun and asked. Of course I will. Jiang Chun agreed without hesitation. However, in his heart, he thought that as one of the most ancient and mysterious sects in the eastern region, the Thousand Harmonies sect might have a lot of good things. If he grasped this opportunity well, there would definitely be treasures in the Thousand Harmonies sect that would belong to him. I'm relieved to hear that. The Divine Secret Pavilion and the Overseas Immortal Mountain Alliance. Even if the Dark Sect wants to attack us, they'll have to think twice. The First Elder didn't know what Jiangchen was thinking. He was immersed in a relaxed mood, since he didn't have to worry about anything. Jiangchen smiled without a trace. First Elder, what good things are in this tomb of the Immortal Emperor? Looking at the tomb in front of him, Jiangchen asked with a fiery gaze. We'll only know when the major sects arrive. The First Elder shook his head. Let's go. Let's go back first. I'll give you that treasure. Thousand Harmonies sect. This was Jiangchen's first time here. The entire sect was backed by a huge mountain and was built in an extremely secretive manner. If he hadn't seen it for himself, he wouldn't have discovered that there was actually a hidden sect in such a dense forest. Little friend, this is the treasure I want to give you. This is one of the treasures of our Thousand Harmonies sect. To a large extent, it can withstand the attack of an immortal king. With your cultivation of the third level of true immortal realm, if you face the sect leader of the Black Sect alone, it should be able to protect your life. As soon as he entered the sect hall, the First Elder took out a linen robe from the secret room. Oh, it's so magical? Jiangchen was indeed a little surprised. That's right. I'll give it to you now. I hope you can remember what you promised me before. If our Thousand Harmonies sect has any problems in the future, the experts of your Divine Secret Pavilion and the experts of the Overseas Immortal Mountain must definitely help us. The First Elder nodded and reluctantly handed the linen robe to Jiangchen. Thank you very much, First Elder. Jiangchen didn't hesitate at all and directly took the linen robe in his hands. Although this thing was useless to him, it was a good thing for Bai Fengyu. It would be good even if he gave it to Nianchanga. This kid was now under Immortal King Xianjun. If he encountered any danger one day, this thing might save his life. Take it, the First Elder said with some heartache. After earning such a treasure, Jiangchen immediately put it away. Although this robe was not bad, it was a little ugly. Jiangchen still decided to give it to Nianchanga. After all, he was a man and could wear any kind of clothes. How could someone like Bai Fengyu wear such ugly things? In the blink of an eye, a few days had passed. When Jiangchen was in the Thousand Harmonies sect, he heard a piece of news from the disciples of the sect. Xianjun's sword apprentice had already known about the appearance of the Immortal Emperor's tomb in the eastern region. After hearing this news, Jiangchen immediately sent a message to the Kunlun Immortal Mountain. He told the Immortal Kings of the Overseas Immortal Mountain to immediately head to the eastern region. If it was only the sword apprentice, Jiangchen wouldn't be afraid. But if Xianjun came personally, Jiangchen didn't dare to guarantee that he would be a match for Xianjun when the White Robe Immortal King left. After all, the deaths of Mystic 3 and Mystic 4 were related to him. This bit of preparation still had to be done. However, it wasn't just the Immortal Kings of the Overseas Immortal Mountain that rushed over. Even the Mountain Lord was here. There was less than a night before the Thousand Harmonies sect's meeting. In the town where the auction was held, the sect leader of the Black Sect appeared in front of Ku Wanjun once again. You finally appeared. Seeing the black fog rise, Ku Wanjun's anxious mood instantly calmed down. What happened? The sect leader of the Black Sect asked. This Jiangchen is already staying in the Thousand Harmonies sect. It's very likely that he's going to the Immortal Emperor's tomb with the Thousand Harmonies sect. If that's the case, we won't be able to succeed so easily. Ku Wanjun told the sect leader of the news that he had gathered in the past few days. What's so difficult about that? The sect leader of the Black Sect said disdainfully. This Thousand Harmonies sect's foundation is very strong. No one knows how many Immortal Kings there are in the sect. It's said that the Grand Elder's strength isn't inferior to the 3 Immortal Kings. Not to mention their sect leader, who has always been in seclusion. This person hasn't appeared in the immortal world for nearly 50 years. Ku Wanjun said excitedly. Aren't you an Immortal King yourself? When the time comes, you can stop their Grand Elder. Leave the rest to me. The Immortal Emperor's tomb isn't in the Thousand Harmonies sect's territory. It's as easy as flipping my hand to kill a mere true, immortal brat. The sect leader of the Black Sect laughed hoarsely. Chapter 1563. Okay, I'll try my best. Ku Wanjun didn't expect the sect master of the Black Sect to say this. He knew his cultivation very well. He could fight against an ordinary immortal king, but he didn't have any chance of winning against the Grand Elder of the Thousand Harmony sect. However, the sect master of the Black Sect had already said this. If he didn't agree, wouldn't it mean that the Heavenly Gem Mountain wouldn't be of any use? Ku Wanjun was still waiting for his share of the Divine Mystery Pavilion's money. Also, bring the 3 immortal kings of your sect to the Immortal Emperor's tomb tomorrow. The sect master of the Black Sect continued. Which 3? Ku Wanjun didn't understand. The 3 people who were injured in Immortal Ancient Doubt City. Bring them along. The sect master of the Black Sect said. But they're only half immortal kings. We still have a few true immortal kings in our Heavenly Gem Mountain. This time we're going to face the Thousand Harmonies sect. I don't think they'll be of much use. Ku Wanjun was stunned and explained. Are you questioning my decision? The sect master of the Black Sect's voice suddenly rose a few degrees. No. Ku Wanjun immediately denied. Bring them along. The 3 of them will naturally be of use. As for the other immortal kings in your sect, bring them along if you want. If you don't want to, let them rest. The sect master of the Black Sect's tone softened when he saw that Ku Wanjun had agreed. I'll remember. Ku Wanjun nodded. Tomorrow, I'll appear at the Immortal Emperor's tomb. Remember, without my orders, you're not allowed to have any conflicts with Jiang Chun. After saying this, the sect master of the Black Sect slowly disappeared like before. The moment he left, Ku Wanjun's brows furrowed. He really didn't understand why the sect master of the Black Sect was so determined to let Ku Wanjun and the other 2 follow him. Although their strength was passable, they wouldn't be of any help to the Thousand Harmonies sect. However, Ku Wanjun didn't dare to show his doubts. He was afraid that the sect master of the Black Sect would appear at any time and see through his thoughts. At night, the Immortal King and a mountain lord from the outer sea, Immortal Mountains, arrived. After knowing the identity of these people, the great elder of the China sect immediately arranged a guest room for them to rest in. If it was said that Jiang Chen's identity was still doubtful because of his young age, then now the great elder completely believed in Jiang Chen's identity. It seemed that no one could make the immortal kings of the overseas Immortal Mountains rush here and kill the Immortal Mountain Alliance leader. Brat, what are you planning to do this time? Could it be that the North region can no longer tolerate you? You actually ran over to the East region. The moment they met, one of the mountain chieftains grabbed Jiang Chen's ear and questioned him. Sigh. Jiang Chen grimaced in pain. Tell me, what's going on with this Immortal Emperor's tomb? Why are you involved again? Since there was no one else around, the mountain chieftain did not show any mercy. No, I just came to participate in the auction and then heard the news, so I wanted to come and take a look. Jiang Chun hurriedly explained. He did not dare to provoke this woman, who even Wan Chang was afraid of. I also want to contribute to our Kunlun Immortal Mountain. If I get some treasures, it will definitely increase the overall strength of our Kunlun Immortal Mountain. Forget it. You're a disciple who has been kicked out of the 9th mountain. It's already not easy for you to not think about how to empty out our Kunlun Immortal Mountain. Do you think you can bring back treasures? Hearing Jiang Chen's words, the first mountain chieftain could not help but sneer. When did I have the idea of emptying out Kunlun Immortal Mountain? Hearing this, Jiang Chen laughed a little embarrassedly. Not yet. Look at what you've done to the 9th mountain. Don't think that I don't know. On the day you returned, if it weren't for the Immortal King's protection, the group of people from the 9th mountain would have skinned you alive. The first mountain chieftain loosened his grip and said indifferently, I got it through proper means? Jiang Chen insisted. All right. I'm not Xin Yu. I'm not interested in listening to the story of your 9th mountain. What's going on with this Immortal Emperor's tomb? From what I know, the Thousand Harmony sect should be one of the stronger sects in the Eastern region. You have them as your companions. Why did you call all the immortal kings from the overseas Immortal Mountains over? Could it be that you've gotten into some trouble again? At this point, the first mountain chieftain raised her eyebrows. She realized that Jiang Chen and Wan Cheng were the same. They were both complete troublemakers. If they were not careful, the two of them could poke a hole in the sky. No. Jiang Chen did not dare to say it out loud. He could only wave his hands and deny it. Then I'll believe you for now. The first mountain chieftain changed the topic and said, but don't think that it's nothing. If I find out that you've gotten into trouble this time, you'd better stay in Kunlun, Celestial Mountain immediately. Don't go around causing trouble for me. Then you might as well capture my father. The trouble I've gotten into is all because of him. Jiang Chen muttered softly. What did you say? The first mountain chieftain raised her voice. Nothing. Jiang Chen did not dare to repeat himself. All right, go and rest. Tomorrow, I'll go with you to take a look at that immortal emperor's tomb. If there's anything good, we'll bring it back to Kunlun, Celestial Mountain. Seeing that the sky had completely darkened, the first mountain chieftain waved her hand at Jiang Chen. Amen. Jiang Chen cupped his hands and hurriedly pushed open the door and ran out of the room. Phew, what a scary woman. Standing at the door, Jiang Chen patted his chest and said with some lingering fear. However, when he raised his head, he saw the immortal kings from the overseas Celestial Mountain standing at the door. What are you doing here? After glancing at them, Jiang Chen quickly returned to normal and asked calmly, Alliance Master, you called us over in such a hurry. We all thought that something big had happened, so we wanted to ask what's going on. The immortal kings said in unison. Nothing much. I just want you to follow me to a place tomorrow. Jiang Chen replied. Then we can rest assured. The immortal kings heaved a sigh of relief. Go and rest. Follow me tomorrow morning. Jiang Chen said to them and walked back to his room. The next day, when the sky had just brightened, many sects had gathered around the immortal emperor's tomb. Most of these sects were from the eastern region. Of course, there were also forces from other regions, but they stood a little further away. The people in the sects were all vigilantly observing the situation around them, afraid that someone would chase them out. We don't know when the Thousand Harmonies sect will arrive. The tomb is right in front of us. I think we should just go in and take a look. If there's anything good, we can get it first. That's right. This is the immortal emperor's tomb in the eastern region. The Thousand Harmonies sect only discovered it. Now, they're making it seem like the immortal emperor belongs to them. If they don't allow it, we can't go in. When the immortal emperor's tomb was right in front of them, some people could not hold back. Chapter 1564. Yes, that's right. Why should we listen to the China sect? Why don't we go in and empty the tomb before the people from the China sect arrive? If we can get the things left behind by the immortal emperor, then the China sect won't be the only one who has the final say in the eastern region. The more these people from the small sects spoke, the more excited they became. They had been suppressed by Tianlang Mountain for a long time, and there was a sect with a strong foundation like the China sect. Their usual days were not easy. Now that they finally had a chance to turn the tables, they all wanted to seize it firmly and let their sect stand tall in the eastern region. The more these people spoke, the more excited they became. Soon, the desire in their hearts could not be suppressed. You guys wait here for the China sect. By the time they arrive, our Zhao family will have already taken away the treasures in the immortal emperor's tomb. This doesn't belong to the China sect, but to the entire eastern region. Whoever gets it first will get it. Soon, a middle-aged man in luxurious clothes stood out. He was the patriarch of the Zhao family in the eastern region, Zhao Ming. The Zhao family was a middle-level family in the eastern region. Although their strength was not great, they still had one or two quasi-immortal kings. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Ming led a group of experts from his clan to the bottom of the mausoleum. After they moved, the others could not help but be jealous. The Zhao family was only a middle-level family in the eastern region. If they were the first to enter and get the treasures left behind by the immortal emperor, it would be a great loss. Therefore, after the Zhao family moved, 5 or 6 forces hurriedly followed. Those who did not move were afraid of the China sect's strength, or rather, because they had a good relationship with the China sect, they could not do such a thing. However, although they did not move, their hearts were restless. This group of dogs really know how to take advantage of others. Let's see how they will explain themselves when the Chinna sect comes. This is the immortal emperor's tomb that the Chinna sect discovered first. It's fine if they enter at the same time, but to enter first, the people from these sects were somewhat unconvinced, but other than saying a few words, they seemed to be unable to do anything else. Under the gaze of the others, these small families and sects who had taken the lead rushed into the tomb without any hesitation. But when they got closer, they saw that the situation had changed. Cold arrows were released one after another. Swish! Swish! The speed of these arrows was very fast, and they were very small, almost invisible to the naked eye. By the time these people found out, it was already too late. Poochie! Cold arrows rained down like rain. Over 100 people were pierced through by the cold arrows. Clouds of blood mist rose into the air. Accompanied by wails, this group of people all fell into the mausoleum. After they all landed, the arrows in the mausoleum also stopped. The air was filled with the stench of blood. When everyone caught sight of this scene, be it the grandmasters, the family heads, or even the members of the ordinary forces, they were all stunned. There are traps in this tomb. One Shou sect master Cho Wanli was standing at the front. When he saw the tragic scene in front of him, he suddenly sucked in a breath of cold air. At the same time, he felt somewhat lucky. If he hadn't held back and rushed in with the people of the sect, he was afraid that there would be heavy casualties. Only he and a few experts of the sect would be able to come out alive. Where are the people from the Thousand Harmonies sect? Zhao Ming's figure flashed as he rushed out of the mausoleum. He screamed and yelled. When he landed, he fell heavily to the ground. There are hidden weapons in this immortal emperor's tomb. The people of the Thousand Harmonies sect definitely want us to lure all these hidden weapons out so that they can take advantage of us. How vicious! Zhao Ming pulled out the arrow from his arm and roared in a low voice, his entire body trembling. He rushed out with the experts of his family, but he was the only one who came back alive. The rest all died in the mausoleum. Ha! This is the funniest joke I've heard in recent years. Just as Zhao Ming finished speaking, an aged, mocking laughter rang out. Everyone turned to look. The Grand Elder of the Thousand Harmonies sect rushed over with a few protectors of the sect. Jiang Chun, Bai Xiaoyun, and the immortal kings of the overseas immortal mountains all followed behind. The appearance of such a large group of people attracted everyone's attention. The people of the small families and sects all took 2 steps back and made way. Old thing, you must have planned this a long time ago. Zhao Ming clutched his arm tightly. Although he had already pulled out the arrow, the poison on the arrow had already invaded his body. In less than 2 minutes, his lips had already turned black, and even his expression was a little strange. What premeditated? Don't slander me. Before the Grand Elder could say anything, a protector beside him couldn't help but step forward and point at Zhao Ming's nose and shout, "Hey, don't be anxious. Let him finish." The Grand Elder said with a smile, "But I don't seem to have any intention of letting you take a look first. It was you who couldn't bear the loneliness and wanted to be the first to get the treasures in the immortal emperor's tomb. The reason I called everyone here is to say that there are countless traps and hidden weapons here. I want everyone to think of a way together." Despicable! Zhao Ming spat out a mouthful of blood. With a gloomy expression, he prepared to charge at the Grand Elder. However, before he could take 2 steps, the poison in his body suddenly flared up, and he fell to the ground with his head tilted. Our Zhao family will never... Zhao Ming clenched his teeth as blood slowly flowed out of his mouth. However, before he could finish speaking, he had already lost his breath. TSK, how pitiful. I wonder how many sects are like his Zhao family, acting on their own? Looking at Zhao Ming, who had fallen to the ground dead, the Grand Elder couldn't help but shake his head. Quite a few families. However, other than Zhao Ming, everyone else died inside. The arrows just now were too sudden and dense like raindrops. It was very difficult to avoid them. Moreover, I think that there are definitely more than just arrows in this slender tomb. There must be other traps and hidden weapons. Qiu Wanli took a step forward and said, "Nonsense. If it weren't for the traps inside, our Thousand Harmonies sect would have already entered. I called all of you here to let everyone think of a way to solve it. Who would have thought that this group of idiots would rush in ahead of time? They didn't die in vain. The Grand Elder smiled faintly. That's difficult. Those who had seen the arrows just now shook their heads and sighed. How could the traps in the immortal Emperor's tomb be so easy to crack? Whether it's difficult or not, we'll talk about it later. I think we should talk about business now. Just as everyone was talking, a white figure suddenly appeared. This person was dressed in a long robe and held a thin sword in his hand. Behind him, there were several people. Sensing that the strength of this group of people was not low. Chapter 1565. Who is it? Sensing the sudden appearance of the aura, the great elder immediately turned his head. Xianjun, Immortal King's sword disciple, Xian Heir. I'm here for no other reason than to seek justice for my junior brother. As for the Immortal Emperor's tomb in the East region, I'm not interested. I'll leave after settling this matter. The young man was Xian Heir, the senior brother of Xian III and Xian IV. Although Jiang Chun had long forgotten about the people on the list, if Xian III could be ranked second on the Earth list with a cultivation of the 9th stage of the Golden Immortal Realm, then Xian Heir would probably be on the Heaven list. However, even if he could enter the Heaven list, he would be at the bottom of the list. Jiang Chun had no interest in remembering those who were at the bottom of the list. Oh, Immortal King Xianjun's people? I wonder why you came to our East region today. If I remember correctly, our East region doesn't seem to have any grudges with you, right? Hearing Xian Heir's words, the great elder's eyes immediately narrowed. He could feel that this person's arrival was definitely not simple. I don't have any grudges with your East region, but with him I do. Xian Heir directly pointed the thin sword in his hand at Jiang Chun. His words were unusually cold. The moment he finished speaking, the immortal kings of the outer sea, immortal mountains, all took a step forward and stood on both sides of Jiang Chun. Bai Xiaoyan also secretly clenched her fists, ready to attack at any time. However, the first mountain lord acted as if she didn't hear anything. She knew that Jiang Chun would definitely cause trouble outside the Kunlun Immortal Mountain, but she didn't expect that he would provoke Immortal King Xianjun thinking of this. The first mountain lord couldn't help but hold her forehead. This father and son pair were really troublemakers. Of all people to provoke, they just had to provoke the most difficult person to deal with in the immortal world. Jiang Chun, following the direction of Xian Heir's sword, the great elder looked at Jiang Chun. Great elder, this is Xianjun's sword disciple. Our Thousand Harmonies sect can't afford to offend them. Please don't offend Immortal King Xianjun because of Jiang Chun. The protector beside him advised in a low voice. Xian Heir, may I know how little friend Jiang Chun has offended you? The first elder hesitated for a moment before asking. Senior, this is a matter between me and Jiang Chun. I hope that your Thousand Harmonies sect will not interfere. Otherwise, once my master gets here, I'm afraid this matter won't end so easily. Mystic, too, snorted coldly. With his status, there was no need for him to put a sect like the Thousand Harmonies sect in his eyes. Everyone present was a little stunned. Never had they imagined that a disciple under Xianjun would actually rush here today. It could be said that the situation here was no longer something they could interfere with. Mystic, too, why aren't you serving Xianjun properly? What are you doing here? Jiang Chun had a faint smile on his face. He wasn't even afraid of Xianjun personally coming here, let alone a mere sword disciple. Jiang Chun, you know what you've done. Don't think that I won't dare to teach you a lesson just because you have so many immortal kings by your side. Hurry up and come back with me. Who knows, maybe Master will punish you less on account of Nian Chang'e. Mystic, too, snorted coldly and said in a low voice. Oh, then tell me, what have I done? Jiang Chun asked. You killed junior brother Xian-san, right? Mystic, too, completely ignored the surrounding people and looked at Jiang Chun coldly. Master has already given you a way out and didn't pursue the matter. But you still hurt my fourth junior brother. If I still don't do anything, won't others think that we're easy to bully? I admit that I killed Mystic 3, but Mystic 4's death has nothing to do with me. It was the VIP of the Ganges Bank who killed him. As for this, I'm sure you can ask around and find out. Could it be that you've been studying swordsmanship for so long that you've damaged your brain? Jiangchen refused to back down after hearing Mystic Two's words. Mystic Four wasn't killed by you, but you saved the person who killed him. My two junior brothers both died in your hands. No matter what you say today, I won't let you leave this place alive. As he spoke, immortal chi surged out from Mystic Two's body. The thin sword in his hand also seemed to be imbued with divine energy, shining brightly. This aura was much stronger than Mystic Three's. Alliance leader, let us handle this. Before Jiang Chun could say anything, the immortal kings beside him all looked at him seriously. There's no need for you guys to do anything. I can handle this myself. Jiang Chun stretched out his hand to stop them. He had been suppressing himself for too long, and Mystic Two was a good opponent. He could use him to stretch out his muscles and avoid rustiness after not fighting for too long. Can you handle him? Bai Xiaoyan moved closer to Jiang Chun and asked. Don't worry, senior brother. I can even kill his junior brother. How could he be a threat to me? Jiang Chun smiled lightly. However, senior brother will need to borrow your weapon. No problem. Bai Xiaoyan nodded. With a thought, a white sword appeared in her hand. Remember, junior brother, if you really can't defeat him, retreat. From the looks of it, Immortal King Xian Jun might not be here today. With me here, this person definitely won't be able to hurt you. Bai Xiaoyan reminded him worriedly as she passed the sword to Jiang Chun. Although the first mountain lord did not say anything, her immortal chi was already circulating around her body. If Jiang Chun was in trouble, she would definitely rush to his aid. She would definitely not watch as Wan Cheng's child met with any danger. Although, she also wanted to make Jiang Chun suffer a little. Xian Air, Xian San, you only have yourself to blame. Xian Si's death isn't related to me. If you turn around and go back now, I can let you off for the sake of Immortal King Xian Jun, Jiang Chun said calmly as he took 2 steps forward while holding Bai Xiaoyan's sword. CK, your mother's fart. Mystic Two focused, and the thin sword in his hand shone even brighter. Those who were slightly weaker instantly felt suffocated. It was as if the air around them had been enveloped by Mystic Two's aura. As for those who were stronger, they could only look sideways. Even Xian Jun's sword child was like this. They really did not know how strong Immortal King Xian Jun was. You're dead. Hearing this, Jiang Chen's eyes dimmed. You can scold me, but you can't scold my mother. This was a pain in Jiang Chen's heart that he could not bring up. As soon as Jiang Chen finished speaking, the long sword emitted 2 lights, one white and the other green, intertwined with the power of lightning and light. What? This brat actually has 2 attributes. Seeing the changes in Jiang Chen's sword, the people of the eastern region could not help but squint their eyes. With his strength, there shouldn't be any problem. Let's not make a move. If we lose, there are still his experts. Seeing Jiang Chen's ability, the Thousand Harmony Sect's protector whispered to the Grand Elder. Chapter 1566. Then let's wait and see. The first elder did not refuse. No wonder Jiang Chun was defeated by you. So you do have some skills. However, with your cultivation base at the 3rd level of the true immortal realm, you're no match for me. Come back with me obediently, and I might spare your life on account of my master. Mystic Two glared at Jiang Chun, his hand gripping his thin sword tightly. I'll return the same words to you. If it weren't for Nian Chang'e, I wouldn't be wasting my breath on you. Jiang Chun sneered coldly. Under the support of the light and lightning energy, other than the sword, his entire body was covered in a faint glow of lightning. It was as if the slightest movement would be enough to deal a heavy blow to his opponent. Unrepentant thing, I'll make you pay the price today. Mystic Two's eyes darkened, and he disappeared from the spot. Just as he moved, a strong gust of wind blew over, sending the sand and pebbles on the ground flying. The tip of the sword shot out from the dust, aiming at Jiang Chun. The speed was so fast that everyone could only see a flash before their eyes. Even Mystic Two's figure could not be seen clearly. What a fast speed, as expected of the second-ranked Dao child under Immortal King Xian Jun. With such strength, he can probably fight against an immortal king. That brat is going to be unlucky. Many people could not help but feel sorry for Jiang Chun. In their opinion, even an immortal king would be hit by Mystic Two's sword if he was not careful, let alone Jiang Chun, who was only at the third level of the true immortal realm. On the other side, Jiang Chun stood quietly on the spot. A pair of dark and deep eyes were locked on Mystic Two's sword. When the tip of the sword was about to pierce him, the crowd could not help but close their eyes and wait for a scream. Even the overseas immortal king was about to use his immortal chi to help when the sound of metal colliding rang in their ears. Wong, the ear-piercing sound caused everyone to frown. How is this possible? Mystic Two was shocked. His sword was easily blocked by Jiang Chun. In his opinion, with Jiang Chun's cultivation at the third level of the true immortal realm, it was simply impossible for Jiang Chun to block his attack. It could even be said that Jiang Chun should not even have the strength to fight back. Your sword strike has ended. Is it my turn now? Jiang Chun had a faint smile on his face. After saying this, Jiang Chun raised the thin sword in his hand and pointed it towards the sky. The originally clear sky was instantly filled with dark clouds. Crack! Within the dark clouds, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Soon, a flash of lightning seemed to be guided by something. It pierced through the dark clouds and struck down viciously in front of Jiang Chun. Boom! A loud explosion rang out. In front of Jiang Chun, the spot where Mystic Two had been standing earlier had been struck by the lightning. Seeing this scene, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This ability to mobilize the power of heaven and earth was not something a mere third-level true immortal could do. Awesome! One of the immortal kings from the outer sea, immortal mountains, could not help but exclaim. Even the other immortal kings relaxed instantly. The strength that Jiang Chun had displayed made them feel at ease. The smoke and dust dispersed. Everyone's attention was focused on the deep pit created by the lightning strike. After taking such a blow, even if Mystic Two did not die, he would definitely be severely injured. The experts that Mystic Two brought over trembled as they pointed at Jiang Chun and shouted, "Brat, are you courting death? What has a fight between the two of them got to do with you? Are you looking down on the outer sea, immortal mountains?" Before Jiang Chun could say anything, the immortal kings from the outer sea, immortal mountains, had already spoken. "Oh, if I remember correctly, the reason why Mystic Two brought you here was to take my life, right?" Jiang Chun's expression did not change because of their threats. He still had a faint smile on his face as he spoke indifferently. In the huge pit, a white figure flashed out. Cough, cough. Mystic Two coughed heavily a few times. The speed of the lightning strike was simply too fast. He did not have the chance to dodge at all. He could only use his strength to withstand it. Fortunately, his foundation was relatively stable. The moment he was struck, he immediately used his immortal energy to form an armor around his body. Only then did he avoid the fate of being severely injured. But even so, after being struck by the lightning, he felt as if his internal organs were about to shift positions. There were also many injuries on his body. The armor formed by the inverted celestial power also slowly dissipated when he came out of the deep pit. "Are you all right?" A few experts quickly surrounded him. "I'm fine, just a little careless. I didn't expect that Jiang Chun would be able to use such a powerful move with just a third-level true immortal cultivation." Mystic Two shook his head and said as he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, "This kid will definitely become someone great in the future." Everyone from the China sect commented in low voices. "He's already someone great. The Pavilion Lord of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion and the Alliance Lord of the Overseas Immortal Mountain Alliance. Either one of them is famous in the immortal world. This kid is both of them. If he's given time to grow, he might even be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the three great immortal kings," the Great Elder said as he stroked his white beard. "Great Elder, isn't this evaluation a little too high?" The three great immortal kings, that's hearing the Great Elder's evaluation, the people from the China sect were a little stunned. They had never heard such a high evaluation from the old man in front of them. Who were the three great immortal kings? They could be said to be the strongest people in the entire immortal world. Although Jiang Chun was somewhat talented, he was still only a third-level true immortal. He was still 100,000 miles away from the three great immortal kings. All of you, get out of the way. I must get rid of this person today. Otherwise, I'll be embarrassing my master. After calming down for a while, Mystic too felt the aura in his body become a little smoother. He pushed aside the immortal kings around him and said with gritted teeth, "Be careful." The few of them reminded him, "If I can't even kill him, then what's the difference between having no cultivation at all?" Mystic too laughed coldly. He attributed his defeat to the fact that he didn't know Jiang Chen well enough. By then, he already knew Jiang Chen's current strength. In other words, it wouldn't be a problem for him to kill Jiang Chen with his current cultivation. Aren't you afraid that immortal King Xian Jun will suddenly come looking for trouble with you? The first mountain lord took a few steps forward and stood in front of Jiang Chen. He said softly, "He only has a few apprentices with swords. You've almost killed all of them." "I didn't." Jiang Chen was a little embarrassed. Forget it. If immortal King Xian Jun really comes here with our subordinates, it won't be a problem to escort you away." Hearing this, the first mountain lord lost the intention to continue talking to Jiang Chen. Chapter 1567. While he was conversing with the first mountain lord, Mystic too had silently swallowed a light-colored pill into his mouth. This pill was something he had stolen from Xian Jun's treasure vault. According to his understanding, this pill could allow one's cultivation to increase by leaps and bounds in a short period of time. Although it would cause one's body to become extremely weak after the effects of the pill wore off, Mystic too had already fully grasped this pill. However, in Xian Er's opinion, he had already seen through Jiang Chen's strength. Coupled with the additional strength provided by the elixir, it wouldn't be a problem for him to kill Jiang Chen here. "Jiang Chen, if I don't kill you here today, I won't have the face to continue being immortal King Xian Jun's subordinate." Feeling the power coursing through his body, Xian Er burst out laughing. He pointed at Jiang Chen and shouted in a stern voice. After he finished speaking, the thin sword in his hand swelled up a little. Thick immortal energy was condensed on the blade of the sword. It was as if this sword could directly split the realm apart. Jiang Chen did not say anything. He only gripped the long sword in his hand tightly. Jiang Chen saw the changes in Mystic two's body. With a slash of his sword, Mystic two's entire body soared into the sky. The sword chi that he had condensed had already materialized. As he charged towards Jiang Chen in midair, a long sword also condensed above Jiang Chen's head. This move is the strongest immortal technique that immortal King Xian Jun imparted to me. To be able to die under this move, you're worthy of your cultivation of a level 3 true immortal. Mystic two's hair fluttered without wind. His entire body seemed to have become one with the sword chi. Wherever he passed, an ear-piercing sound could be heard. Everyone, including the first mountain lord, broke out in cold sweat for Jiang Chen. Just as they were concentrating on Mystic two, Jiang Chen had unknowingly attracted a bolt of lightning. However, this bolt of lightning did not strike the ground directly like before. Instead, it was directly channeled into by Xiaoyun's long sword. With the support of the power of thunder, the white sword's entire body was blue. The sword's body was ethereal, as if it was completely formed by the power of thunder. Xian Er's sword was already hovering above Jiang Chen's head. The ripples created by the sword had even formed a boundary, sealing Jiang Chen within. With the strength of a true immortal, it was impossible for him to escape. The only thing they could do was to wait for death to descend upon them. "Your moves aren't bad, but it's a pity that you met me." Sensing the situation around him, Jiang Chen's lips curled into a faint sneer. Soon after, he swung the thunderbolt longsword in his hand forward forcefully. The boundary formed by the sword chi was completely unable to withstand such a ferocious attack. Almost at the moment of contact, it shattered. The barrier was damaged, and Mystic too seemed to have suffered quite a bit of damage as well. He suddenly stopped and fell to the ground with a somersault. Jiang Chen stepped forward and stepped on Mystic two's back. The long sword in his hand was pressed against Mystic Two's neck. As long as he exerted a little force, this person would disappear from the immortal world forever. You dare? The experts that Mystic Two brought along saw Jiang Chun acting in such a manner, and immediately stepped forward to reprimand him. However, they were afraid that Jiang Chun would really do something, so they only spoke and did not dare to get too close. I warned you, but he didn't listen to me. Instead, he ate something to enhance his strength so that he could kill me. Now that the outcome has been decided, shouldn't we settle this once and for all? Jiang Chun asked in a cold voice, looking at them with a gloomy look. He is the sword child under immortal King Xianjun. Who dares to hurt him? The person standing at the front glared at Huang Xiaolong. I dare. Jiang Chun gripped the long sword in his hand tightly, preparing to slash down on Mystic Two's neck. However, just as he was about to exert his strength, he felt an invisible force blocking him. No matter how much strength he exerted, the tip of his sword could not hurt Mystic Two's skin at all. Just as Jiang Chun felt that something was wrong, a powerful voice rang out. Good lad, you actually dare to attack my people one after another. Do you really think that I, an immortal king, do not exist? The moment the voice rang out, a figure in front of Mystic Two gradually turned from an illusory image to a real person. Immortal King Xianjun? Seeing this person, everyone present exclaimed in shock. Before they came today, they did not expect that just exploring the tomb of the immortal emperor in the eastern region would attract one of the three immortal kings of the immortal world. Grand Elder, Immortal King Xianjun, the Thousand Harmony Sect's guardian said in a low voice. No matter. With me here today, no one will be able to hurt little friend Jiang Chun. The Grand Elder's withered hand slowly clenched. With his strength, it should not be a problem for him to face Xianjun head-on. The reason why he hesitated just now was that he thought that it was not worth offending Xianjun because of Jiang Chun. After all, although his strength was not weaker than Xianjun's, in the entire Thousand Harmony sect, only he had this kind of cultivation. The sect leader was still in seclusion and did not know when he would come out. If he offended Xianjun, it would definitely cause trouble for the Thousand Harmony sect. However, now that he had seen the strength and talent that Jiang Chun had displayed, his originally hesitant heart immediately became firm. He believed that as long as Jiang Chun was given time to grow, it was very likely that he would be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with Xianjun or even surpass him. Chang'e, look at what Jiang Chun has done. If I didn't come today, I'm afraid that all my sword children would have been killed by him. Immortal King Xianjun looked at the young man in white who had appeared beside him and said, Master, I think Xian Heir must have done something wrong. I know Jiang Chun's character. He won't take the initiative to attack. Nian Chang'e looked at Jiang Chun and then at Xianjun, who's here? Xianjun did not reply to Nian Chang'e's words. Instead, he looked to the side. After he finished speaking, a beautiful figure slowly floated to Jiang Chun's side. Fengyu, what are you doing here? Seeing the woman beside him, Jiang Chun instantly frowned. I found out that Xianjun's men have arrived in the eastern region. I was worried that they would attack you, so I hurried over. Bai Fengyu's chest was heaving up and down. Even the words that came out of her mouth were fragrant. You can't help much by coming here. You'll also encounter danger. A worried look appeared on Jiang Chun's face. It had been fine a moment ago, and he had been able to control the situation completely. However, now that Xianjun was here, Jiang Chun didn't think he was a match for the three great immortal kings. It's okay. As long as I can be with you, no matter what danger we encounter, I'm not afraid. Bai Fengyu's gaze was firm, and her tone was clear. Cough, cough. Thinking that the immortal kings and the first mountain master were still standing behind him, Jiang Chun immediately felt embarrassed and hurriedly coughed a few times to cover it up. However, what Jiang Chun did not see was that when Bai Fengyu appeared, the first mountain master glared at him fiercely. Chapter 1568. Jiang Chun, Mystic 3 died in your hands, and the one who killed Mystic 4 was saved by you. Now you want to get rid of my other sword children. Originally, I didn't want to hold you responsible for this because of Nian Chang'e. But now, it seems that if I don't act now, Everyone around me will be killed by you. Xianjun didn't put by Feng Yu in his eyes at all. Immortal King Xianjun, this is our eastern region. Although Jiang Chun and you have some grudges, today it was Jiang Chun who came to find trouble with you. Moreover, Jiang Chun had repeatedly told him that he had no choice but to act. Now, Mystic 2 is only slightly injured, and his life is not in danger. I think today's matter should end here. Suddenly, an old voice rang out. Who are you? Seeing the old man who spoke to him, Xianjun frowned. I'm only the great elder of Thousand Harmonies sect. However, Jiang Chun and our sect have some fate. I definitely won't let him meet any trouble here. The great elder had his hands behind his back. As he spoke, his gray robe gradually fluttered. His cultivation of a true, immortal king was undoubtedly revealed. Hearing this, the other sects who were watching the show were all stunned. What kind of people were the three great immortal kings? They were experts who stood tall in the immortal world. Although this great elder of Thousand Harmonies sect had some strength, the overall cultivation of Thousand Harmonies sect was still weaker than Xianjun's force. Once they offended him, they would probably attract endless trouble. Not bad. I didn't expect that there would be someone who would stand up for you. The first mountain lord stretched out her finger and gently touched Jiang Chen's shoulder. On the side, seeing such a beautiful woman talking to Jiang Chun, by Feng Yu clenched her fists. She couldn't wait to punch Jiang Chen's chest a few times. I also didn't know that someone from Thousand Harmonies sect would stand up for me. Looking at the solemn great elder, Jiang Chun felt a wave of emotions in his heart. Previously, when Wan Cheng had encountered Mystic 4 in Immortal Ancient Doubt City, he had been the one protecting him. And at the auction, even he and Bai Xiaoyan couldn't deal with the Black Sect's sect master. It was the Thousand Harmonies sect's great elder who came out to help. Although it was because of the auction's rules, it did save his life. Yet now, he was actually going to fall out with Xianjun for her sake. This action made Jiang Chun feel guilty for some of his previous thoughts. They were protecting him like this, but he was thinking of ways to empty out the Thousand Harmonies sect's treasures. It was really inexcusable. Thousand Harmonies sect, if I remember correctly, your sect should have been in the eastern region for a long time. Xianjun narrowed his eyes and looked at the first elder. Stay in the eastern region and don't interfere in my affairs. Otherwise, your sect will disappear from here. Whether our sect should disappear or not, it's not up to you to decide. The first elder looked at Jiang Chun, then took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, Master, I think today's matter is a misunderstanding. Senior brother Xian is not injured. Nian Chang'e was worried that Xianjun would attack Jiang Chun, so she anxiously reminded him in a low voice, You want to protect him? Xianjun tilted his head and asked, Nian Chang'e nodded heavily. He knew that with his 72 lotuses, he still had some authority in front of Xianjun. How troublesome. Xianjun took a deep breath. Immortal King Xianjun, you should go back. It's best if we don't interfere in the battle between the younger generation. If you insist on attacking Jiang Chun, then you have to ask our Thousand Harmonies sect if we agree. Seeing that Xianjun was silent, the first elder continued. Behind him, although the protectors were shocked by the first elder's decision, since things had developed to this point, they could only take a step forward and stand beside the first elder. Good kid, I really underestimated you. Xianjun stared at Jiang Chun for a while. He knew he wouldn't be able to do anything to Jiang Chun today. The Grand Elder of the Qinna sect could stop him. As for the experts brought by Xian, they wouldn't be able to stop the enemy's immortal king. As for Nian Chang'e, he didn't want to lose a disciple with 72 lotuses because of Xian. Xianjun didn't doubt that if he insisted on attacking Jiang Chun today, Nian Chang'e would definitely leave him. Thinking of this, Xianjun couldn't help but pat his head. His original intention was to bring Nian Chang'e out to broaden her horizons and gain some combat experience. He didn't expect that he would overlook the relationship between him and Jiang Chun. Immortal King Xianjun, you're too kind. If it wasn't for your sword children wanting to attack me, then I naturally wouldn't have clashed with them. Jiang Chun smiled faintly. Xian, get up and come back with me. Looking at Nian Chang'e, Xianjun could only suppress the anger in his chest and prepare to return home. If I don't kill Jiang Chun today, I definitely won't go back. Who would have thought that the moment Jiang Chun released his foot, Xian would suddenly push himself against the ground with both hands. After getting up, he directly pounced on Jiang Chun. His clenched fists were condensed with immortal qi. He had used all his strength in this attack. As long as he hit, even if Jiang Chun didn't die, he would be seriously injured. Stop! Xian Jun's heart jumped, and he hurriedly shouted. If this hurt Jiang Chun, then Yin Chang'e would no longer be his disciple. Puchi! When Xian rushed in front of Jiang Chun, a long sword directly pierced through his chest. The tip of the sword pierced through his back, and fresh blood dripped down. Seeing the shocked expression on Xian face, Jiang Chun sneered coldly and said, "Do you really think that with your little strength, you can hurt me? You!" Looking down at the long sword in his chest, Xian stared at Jiang Chun with his mouth agape. He really couldn't understand how Jiang Chun could react in such a short time when his speed had already reached the limit, and even pushed the long sword into his body. But now, this was no longer important. Jiang Chun, Xian Jun's eyes widened. The previous matter was still manageable. After all, it was a battle between Jiang Chun and Xian. But now, Jiang Chun actually attacked Xian right in front of him. If he continued to pretend that nothing had happened, then wouldn't he, one of the so-called three great immortal kings, have his face rubbed against the ground? Immortal King Xian Jun, you also saw it just now. It was Xian who took the initiative to kill me after I let go. If I didn't retaliate, the one who would be injured right now would be me. Jiang Chun directly pulled the white sword out of Xian body and said calmly, "No matter what, you can't attack in front of me." Xian Jun's anger continued to rise. "Then what do you want to do?" Jiang Chun furrowed his brows. Could it be that immortal King Xian Jun wants to attack a junior in front of so many people? Chapter 1569. You injured my disciple in front of me. If I let this go, how can I, Xian Jun, maintain my standing in the immortal world? Xian Jun's face was pale. This was like a slap to his face. If he didn't do anything, he wouldn't be able to get off the stage. Immortal King Xian Jun, we saw it clearly. Jiang Chun had already let Xian go. Xian couldn't take it lying down and suddenly attacked. Now that he's beaten up by Jiang Chun, he only has himself to blame. Seeing that Xian Jun was targeting Jiang Chun again, the first mountain lord, who hadn't said anything before, immediately stood in front of Jiang Chun and said coldly, "That's right. Xian injuries are entirely his own fault. It has nothing to do with Jiang Chun. Immortal King Xian Jun, you should quickly bring him back to treat his injuries. If you're late, I'm afraid he won't even be able to keep his life. Besides, no matter how strong Immortal King Xian Jun is, you still have to abide by the agreement between the two realms and the agreement of 1,000 years. Don't break the rules." The Grand Elder of the Thousand Harmonies sect added, "You guys." Xian Jun took a deep breath. These two agreements again. If it wasn't for the agreement, he would have killed Jiang Chun when he attacked Xian previously. There would be no need to talk about what happened afterward. "Jiang Chun, brat, take a hit from me. If you can survive, I'll let this matter rest. How about it?" However, after suppressing the anger in his heart, Xian Jun had a new idea. He knew that due to the agreement, he couldn't attack Jiang Chun. However, this didn't mean that he would let this matter rest. As soon as he said this, everyone looked at Jiang Chun. Who was Xian Jun? No matter how strong Jiang Chun was, he was still a level 3 true immortal. If he took a hit from him, he would probably turn into ashes on the spot. "I won't." Looking at Xian Jun, Jiang Chun shook his head resolutely. What a joke. If he took a hit from Xian Jun, wouldn't that be suicide? Jiang Chun was not that stupid. This is not something you can decide. Xian Jun strode forward and reached out to grab Jiang Chun's collar. Immortal King Xian Jun, don't even think about harming Jiang Chun. Could it be that you want to go against the agreement? When Xian Jun moved, the Grand Elder's eyes suddenly narrowed. Afterwards, the skinny figure vanished from where he was, and when he reappeared, he was already standing before Jiang Chun. The Grand Elder placed one hand behind his back and pushed the other forward. An invisible wave spread out and blocked Xian Jun's figure. Does your Thousand Harmonies sect really want to go against me? Xian Jun's face was extremely gloomy. As one of the three great immortal kings, when had he ever suffered such humiliation? I've already said it before. Zhang Chun has a good relationship with our Thousand Harmonies sect. If you insist on hurting him, then you'll have to go through the Thousand Harmonies sect first. The great elder's voice was hoarse but firm. Very well. Since your Thousand Harmonies sect insists on protecting this boy, then let's wait and see. Xian Jun exhaled heavily. A pair of gloomy eyes stared at the Grand Elder, deeply imprinting his appearance in his heart. I won't see you off. The Grand Elder placed his other hand behind his back. Chang'e, take Xian Er and leave this place. Xian Jun flicked his sleeves and turned to Nian Chang'e's side. Yes, master. Nian Chang'e looked at Jiang Chun with some worry, but still walked to Xian Er and helped him up. Jiang Chun, remember this. As long as I'm still alive, you won't have a peaceful life. One day, I'll kill you with my own hands. Xian Er put his arm on Nian Chang'e's shoulder and stood up with gritted teeth. He took a few deep breaths and gritted his teeth as he looked at Jiang Chun. And I'll return the same words to you. If you dare to appear in front of me again, I won't hold back. Even if Xian Jun Immortal King protects you again, it'll be useless. If you don't believe me, you can try. Jiang Chun was not frightened by Xian Er's words at all. Dog, Xian Er was already injured, and after being provoked by Jiang Chun's words, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura instantly withered. Jiang Chun, don't think that I won't dare to touch you just because you have the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion and these people protecting you. With my strength, dealing with you is as easy as flipping my hand. Be careful. Xian Jun looked at Jiang Chun and waved his hand. His figure gradually turned illusory. Wait, just as they were about to disappear, Jiang Chun called out. What's wrong? Is there anything else? Xian Jun asked with a frown. Chang'e, come here. Jiang Chun beckoned to Nian Chang'e, who was supporting Xian Er. Nian Chang'e looked at Xian Jun and quickly walked over to Jiang Chun. Keep this set of clothes and wear it. It can block the attacks of immortal kings to a large extent. Right now, I'm already on bad terms with Xian Jun. Who knows, he might secretly attack you. Remember, you must be very careful. Jiang Chun looked at the Great Elder. Seeing that he was not looking at them, he hurriedly took out the robe that could block the attacks of immortal kings and handed it to Nian Chang'e. What about you? Nian Chang'e held the robe and asked. I'm fine. Just be careful. Jiang Chun patted him on the shoulder. And I'll remember. Nian Chang'e nodded vigorously. After putting on the robe, he turned around and returned to Xian Jun. After a while, Xian Jun brought the two of them and slowly disappeared. The moment Xian Jun disappeared, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. No one would have thought that a mere third-stage true immortal kid could actually provoke one of the three great immortal kings, Xian Jun. But what they did not expect even more was that the great elder of the Qinna sect would fall out with Xian Jun for Jiang Chun. Are you all right? As soon as Xian Jun left, the great elder immediately turned around and asked, I'm fine. Xian Er doesn't have the ability to hurt me. Jiang Chun shrugged and replied with a faint smile. However, although Xian Jun is left, you still have to be careful. The great elder suddenly lowered his voice. Understood? Jiang Chun knew what he meant. Naturally, he was talking about the people of Tianlang Mountain and the sect master of the Black Sect. When they were fighting just now, Jiang Chun also observed from the corner of his eye. The people of Tianlang Mountain were standing not far away and watching. Thank you for speaking up for me just now. When the great elder returned to the group of people from the Qinna sect, Jiang Chun turned around and cupped his hands respectfully to the first mountain lord. Forget it. If you provoke three great immortal kings now, you might provoke an immortal emperor in the future. The first mountain lord snorted coldly and did not look at Jiang Chun. This? Jiang Chun smiled awkwardly. Immortal emperors. Not to mention provoking them. It was unknown if there were even any in the immortal world. Master, why did you come here today? Bai Fengyu came up to Jiang Chun and asked in a soft voice when she saw so many factions gathered around them. An immortal sovereign's grave has been found here. The Thousand Harmonies sect has gathered all of the East Fields factions here. They're going to go inside and take a look, but you should follow me later. There are many mechanisms and traps in this immortal sovereign's grave, and if you are careless, you will end up losing your life, Jiang Chun explained as he pointed at Zhao Ming, who was not far from them. Chapter 1570. So that's how it is? While Jiang Chun was speaking, Bai Fengyu also turned her head to look at the tomb, as well as the dead people who had fallen inside. You must be careful when you go in later. It's best if you follow closely behind me. Jiang Chun was a little worried about Bai Fengyu. Although Xin Jun had left, there were still people here who wanted to target her. Once the Black Sect master, whose strength was unknown, attacked Bai Fengyu, she would have no ability to fight back. And I know. Bai Fengyu nodded lightly and stood behind Jiang Chun. After Xin Jun left, the front of the immortal emperor's tomb gradually quieted down. Everyone's gaze was on the Great Elder. Everyone had gathered here today to enter the immortal emperor's tomb and obtain the things inside. What happened just now was just a small interlude. Behind them, the people of Heavenly Gem Mountain were standing there. I didn't expect that Jiang Chun would have so many immortal kings protecting him. Even the Great Elder of Qian, his sect risked offending immortal King Xian Jun to stand up for him. I'm afraid it'll be a little difficult to get rid of him today. Ku Wanjun frowned as he looked ahead. He had seen everything that happened just now, so he couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. Sect Master, what's there to be afraid of? No matter how strong Jiang Chun is, can he be stronger than an immortal king? As long as we can stop these people, the Black Sect Master can easily kill him. Ku Wanjun's voice had just faded when Ku Wanjun spoke. You're the Sect Master? I'm the Sect Master? Since when was it your turn to teach me how to do things? Ku Wanjun was a little unhappy. Ever since Ku Wanjun was injured, he clearly felt that something was wrong with this person. Previously, Ku Wanjun was very respectful to him and would do his best to carry out any orders he gave. But now, Ku Wanjun had interjected time and time again, and his words were even more superior than him, the Sect Master. Not only Ku Wanjun, but the other two quasi-immortal kings also gave him a similar feeling. I'm sorry, Sect Master. I only wanted to express my thoughts. Hearing this, Ku Jie immediately lowered his head. Remember your status. You're just a quasi-immortal king in the sect. Don't think too highly of yourself. I know what I'm doing today. I don't need you to lecture me. Ku Wanjun glanced at him and said indifferently. Understood. Ku Wanjun nodded repeatedly. Now everyone knows that there are many hidden weapons in the tomb. As I said before, the reason why I called all of you here today is to discuss how to enter. I tried before, but even with my cultivation, I couldn't fall inside. And these are just the hidden weapons for external defense, not to mention the ones inside the tomb. Seeing that everyone had quieted down, the Great Elder glanced at them and said in a low voice, Then how are we supposed to enter? We don't even know if there's a switch in this tomb. Are we supposed to let everyone rush in? Whoever is unlucky will die inside, and only those who are lucky will be able to enter. Thinking about Zhao Ming's miserable state just now, Qiu Wanli felt a chill run down his spine. If he had rushed in just now, he would have ended up in the same state. Of course not. I don't think any of you would joke around with the lives of your own sect. The Great Elder shook his head. I think we should just spread out like this. Whoever has the ability to avoid the traps will be able to enter. Those who don't have the ability can just watch from the outside. This is the best way. Ku Wanjun coughed and said, That's right. Let's just spread out. We can't think of anything if we gather here. Whoever can enter and find the treasures will have to rely on their own luck. Just as Ku Wanjun finished speaking, someone else chimed in. No problem. This is indeed the best way. Many people chimed in. All right, since all of you have decided, let's spread out and do our own things. But there's one thing. Whoever obtains the treasures must bring it back to the sect. No other sect can fight for it. If I find out, then you're going against the Thousand Harmonies sect. The Great Elder turned around and glanced at them. No problem. Not long after the Great Elder finished speaking, the various sects all left where they stood. Walking in front of Jiang Chun, The great elder first looked at the immortal king standing behind Jiang Chun and then asked, "Come in with us?" "No, I'll do it myself." Jiang Chun shook his head and said, "Then be careful. Those people from Heavenly Gem Mountain are all watching you. If there's anything wrong, speak up immediately. If they dare to make a move on you, I can make them disappear from the immortal world." Seeing Jiang Chen's determined expression, the great elder didn't insist. Instead, he waved his hand and left with the protectors behind him. "Let's go too." Jiang Chun waved to Bai Fengyu and Bai Xiaoyan, then said to the immortal kings behind him, "I'll have to trouble you to wait outside. If we go in together, it won't be very convenient." "Alliance Master, we'll wait for you." The immortal kings looked at each other and nodded in agreement. "First Mountain Lord, do you want to go in?" Looking at his father's woman, Jiang Chun asked softly, "I'm not interested in the immortal emperor's tomb, but if you get a good treasure from inside, don't forget that I'll stand up for you today." The first Mountain Lord waved her hand. She didn't want to follow in and see Jiang Chun and Bai Fengyu flirting. She couldn't help but think of Wan Cheng. And now, she still didn't know where Wan Cheng was. Jiang Chun nodded. After leaving with Bai Xiaoyan and Bai Fengyu, Jiang Chun looked at the people from the sections. They were all preparing to enter from the surroundings of the tomb. Some of them had just stepped in and were immediately attacked by hidden weapons. Some of them were luckier and kept walking in without triggering any traps. It was just that everyone was very careful. They had seen with their own eyes how miserable the Zhao family was. With the speed of the hidden weapons, it was hard for them to react. Jiang Chun found a place with fewer buildings in the tomb. With the help of the Saint Healing technique, he directly jumped down. He knew the speed of these traps. From the time he touched the trap to the time he was punished, he had enough time to react. Even if he couldn't react in time, with his current strength, it wouldn't be a problem. After Jiang Chun jumped down, Bai Xiaoyan and Bai Fengyu didn't hesitate and quickly followed. When the three of them jumped down from a height of more than 10 meters, they stirred up a cloud of dust. Chapter 1571. My luck isn't bad. I didn't encounter any traps, Jiang Chun said with a smile as he waved his hand to disperse the smoke and dust in front of him. Then maybe we'll get something good from here. As long as we sell it, our Divine Secrets Pavilion's expenses for the next few years will be guaranteed. Bai Xiaoyan crossed his arms and smiled. However, the smile on his face disappeared in the blink of an eye. But you have to be careful of that friend of yours. You can't let him cheat you again." "Which friend?" Jiang Chun didn't react for a moment. "That VIP from the Eternal Riverbank," Bai Xiaoyan reminded him. "I've already told the people of the Eternal Riverbank. Even if he buys on credit in the future, it has nothing to do with me." Jiang Chun shook his head. He couldn't let Wan Cheng do whatever he wanted outside. He even had to avoid contact with him in the future. Take the last time in Immortal Ancient Doubtful City, for example. He had sensed Wan Cheng's existence, so Wan Cheng must have sensed his existence as well. That was why he attacked so recklessly, in order to hide his strength. Even if he was forced into a desperate situation by the three quasi-immortal kings of Heavenly Gem Mountain, he wasn't willing to reveal his true strength. It was the same at the auction. Wan Cheng knew that he was beside him, so he closed his eyes and waited for death. In reality, he was waiting for him to lend a helping hand. With a father who cheated his son like this, Jiang Chun really didn't know what kind of sin he had committed in his previous life. "That's good, that's good. Then everything we got in the Immortal Emperor's tomb can be sold to subsidize the Divine Secrets Pavilion." Hearing Jiang Chun's words, Bai Xiaoyan was completely relieved. Jiang Chun rubbed his temples. After getting rid of a father who cheated his son, now there was a senior brother who cheated his junior brother. Jiang Chun felt that his money wasn't his anymore. "Don't worry, junior brother. I'll definitely leave you some." Bai Xiaoyan chuckled and patted Jiang Chun's shoulder. "Thank you so much, senior brother," Jiang Chun said helplessly. As they spoke, Jiang Chun had already taken in the surrounding situation. This was the outermost area of the mausoleum. It looked like it was on the side. Normally speaking, there shouldn't be too many traps and hidden weapons on the side. However, this was the mausoleum of an immortal emperor after all. There were many things that couldn't be considered using conventional thinking. Stay by my side. Eldest senior brother, let's go in and see what's so special about this immortal emperor tomb. Jiangchen took a deep breath and walked straight in. While he was moving, the immortal energy in his body had already spread out to sense the surrounding situation. Once he discovered something, he would immediately bring Bai Fengyu away. As for Bai Xiaoyan, she had the ability to protect herself. However, when Jiang Chun was moving, a black shadow was indeed following him slowly. Sect Master, Jiang Chun has already gone down. Ku Jie reported immediately after seeing Jiang Chen's group enter the immortal emperor's tomb. I saw it. The few of you follow me. The rest of you, wait above. Remember, don't attract Jiang Chen's attention. Even if he sees us, don't get into a conflict with him. Ku Wanjun pondered for a moment and immediately followed. As soon as he entered the tomb, Jiang Chen saw a scene similar to that of a sect. Although he had already seen it when he was above, he still felt that it was a little strange. How could a tomb be built like a sect? Just when Jiang Chen was surprised by the situation inside the tomb, a scream suddenly rang out. Jiang Chen quickly turned his head to look. Not far away from them, about 20 meters away, a few people wanted to push open the door of the room in front of them, but the moment the door was pushed open, a very powerful aura burst out. Those people couldn't block this aura at all, and immediately retreated. TSK, this immortal emperor tomb is really not a place that ordinary people can enter. Seeing this scene, Bai Xiaoyan couldn't help but smack her lips and sigh. Let me give it a try. Jiang Chen looked at the door on the left. Stretching out his hand, a powerful force burst out from his palm. Bang! The force from his palm hit the wooden door directly. The wooden door was obviously unable to withstand such an impact and was shattered the moment it came into contact with the door. Whoosh! Just as Jiang Chen thought, when the door shattered, a few silver needles that were almost invisible to the naked eye shot out from inside and nailed into the opposite wall. What a vicious method! Bai Xiaoyan quickly walked over and couldn't help but sigh when she saw the silver needles that were deeply embedded into the wall. Not only were these silver needles fast, but they were also very small. If one stood at the door, they wouldn't be able to see them at all and could only let them pierce through their body. It seems like this immortal emperor tomb is filled with traps. Not many people can take the treasures out of here. Jiang Chun held the silver needles and pulled them out from the wall. The tip of the silver needles was pitch black. This immortal emperor is quite vicious. The silver needles are poisonous. He wants to kill people. Seeing the color of the needles, Bai Xiaoyan couldn't help but shake her head. If an immortal emperor tomb is discovered, there will definitely be countless people coming to rob the tomb. If you are an immortal emperor, you will also set up these traps so that no one can get close. After throwing away the silver needles, Jiang Chen casually said, That's true. Bai Xiaoyan raised her eyebrows. After the silver needles were shot out, Jiang Chen walked to the door and tested a few more times. Seeing that there were no traps activated, he was sure that the room was safe. After stepping in, Jiang Chen paused for a moment and turned to Bai Fengyu and said, Fengyu, wait outside for a moment. I will come in with senior brother to take a look. Bai Fengyu lightly nodded. After walking into the room with Bai Xiaoyan, Jiang Chen immediately scanned the room. In the room, other than a few wooden shelves, there was almost nothing else. Although there were some books placed on the shelves, they were all covered in dust. Moreover, it seemed like they were corroded by the passage of time. Many of the books were damaged. Don't look. According to my understanding, good things won't be placed in this kind of place. Seeing Jiang Chun staring at the things on the shelves, Bai Xiaoyan casually picked up a book. Seeing that her hands were covered in dust, she immediately threw it away and said, What if Jiang Chun was the king of looting? He wouldn't miss any opportunity to find treasures. Moreover, according to the theory of looting, the more inconspicuous the place, the more likely it was to find treasures. However, half an hour passed. Jiang Chun finished reading all the books on the shelves, but didn't find any treasures. However, his hands and clothes were stained with a lot of dust. Chapter 1572. Did you find anything? Looking at the dusty Jiang Chun, Bai Xiaoyan couldn't help but ask. I really didn't. Jiang Chen shook his head in disappointment. It seemed that the law of finding treasures in the trash was not so accurate. Ah, I knew it. Hearing this, Bai Xiaoyan laughed. How can there be treasures in this trash place? The immortal emperor is not a fool. How can he put good things in such a place? Let's wait and see. Jiang Chen patted the dust off his hands and said indifferently. However, when he turned around and walked out, his hand hit the wooden frame and the whole floor cracked. Accompanied by a slight sound, the room was instantly filled with dust. Apprentice brother, watch out. Jiang Chen reminded him and hurried to dash out. As soon as he went out, he bumped into Bai Fengyu, who was about to rush in. Their noses were almost touching, and their lips were almost touching. Cough, cough. Why did you rush in? Smelling the fragrance on Bai Fengyu's body, Jiang Chen was in a daze. He quickly took a few steps back and said, I heard you shouting inside and thought you were in danger, so I wanted to rush in and take a look. Bai Fengyu's face was crimson, like a little girl who was in love for the first time. There's no danger. It's just a sudden accident. After saying this, Jiang Chen suddenly remembered that Bai Xiaoyan was still inside. His expression suddenly changed, and he quickly turned around and went in. Senior brother, are you all right? Don't worry, I'm fine. Be careful when you come in. There may really be treasures inside. Bai Xiaoyan's voice softly sounded. He brought Bai Fengyu into the room. After the smoke and dust dispersed, they saw that the floor they were standing on just now had disappeared. Instead, there was a hole in the room, and Bai Xiaoyan's voice came from below. Master, will there be any problems? Looking at the situation inside, Bai Fengyu asked worriedly. He's an immortal king. He can still guarantee his safety here. Jiang Chen believed in Bai Xiaoyan's strength. Junior brother, go and close the door. Come down slowly. From below, Bai Xiaoyan's voice sounded again. There seems to be some treasures below. Crack! Upon hearing this, Jiang Chen directly turned around and closed the door of the room. Moreover, there was an immortal seal. As long as he was here, even if an immortal king rushed over, he wouldn't be able to open it easily. After Jiang Chen had done all of this, he took a look at it before he went down with Bai Fengyu. Below, Bai Xiaoyan was standing inside. Even the long sword in his hand had appeared. It seemed that when he first fell, he was startled. It's really strange. How could there be a secret room below such an ordinary house? I feel like there's really something good inside. Maybe this time, we really found it. Bai Xiaoyan put away the long sword in her hand. The smile on her face could not be stopped. Fengyu, be careful. Jiang Chen turned his head to look at the woman next to him and told her in a low voice. And Bai Fengyu nodded lightly. Senior brother, is there anything below? Jiang Chen walked to Bai Xiaoyan's side and observed the situation in the secret room. Look around us. It's completely empty. It doesn't look like there's anything here. However, there's a path ahead. I reckon there's a place beyond our imagination. There might be treasures, but there might also be danger. Bai Xiaoyan took a deep breath. Then let's go and take a look ahead. Since there's a secret passage here, it definitely won't be ordinary. Hearing Bai Xiaoyan's words, Jiang Chen raised his head and looked ahead. The passage was long and narrow, only allowing one person to pass through. Moreover, there was almost no light inside. Looking around, it was almost impossible to see anything clearly. Junior brother, if we really find something inside, we must sell it. Our heavenly secret pavilion is still waiting for a lot of money. Now that Master is not here, we are all counting on you to support our daily expenses. Bai Xiaoyan said very firmly, as if there was a treasure left behind by an immortal emperor in front of them. Okay. Jiang Chen didn't know what to say. He could only nod and agree. In any case, Jiang Chen treated all of Bai Xiaoyan's words as fart. The things in this immortal emperor's tomb would definitely be kept. Only the useless things would be sold. As for the money from selling them, he would first put it in his own pocket. When he had extra money, he would go to the heavenly secret pavilion. He didn't want to follow the white-robed immortal king's wishes. He came to the heavenly secret pavilion to steal things, to dig out the bottom line, not to be a sucker. After all, This heavenly secret pavilion was much more ruthless than Wancheng. This was a true bottomless pit. No matter how much immortal jade was thrown in, it wouldn't be enough for those immortal kings. The passage wasn't very long. As they spoke, they had already walked to the end. At the end, they could see some light. After walking out of the passage, they saw a very empty basement. The entire area was almost filled with wooden shelves and wooden boxes. There was also a round table placed in the middle. On the round table, there was nothing except for a cleanly burned candlestick. The entire table was covered with dust. It seemed that with just a light breath, the dust would be stirred up. Why does this place feel no different from above? Looking at the situation here, the smile on by Xiaoyun's face slowly dissipated. Didn't you say that there might be treasures here? Jiangchen took a step forward and began to look from the bookshelf in front of him. Who knows? I thought there would be some treasures. I didn't expect it to be these things again. If you ask me, this immortal emperor is really something. He actually made such a secret room. Bai Xiaoyun shrugged and said somewhat helplessly, "Eldest senior brother, come over and take a look." Jiangchen picked up the book in front of him and looked at it. Immediately, he frowned and said, "Inside this book, it's all about formations." "What's so good about formations?" Bai Xiaoyun couldn't arouse any interest. This school seems to be called the Qinji sect. They specialize in tactical formations and wards. Most of the books on this shelf are about tactical formations and wards. It's a pity that some of them aren't good enough, Jiangchen said with pity while leafing through the books. This thing can be given to some small sects or clans. If it's sold, I'm afraid it won't sell for much. Bai Xiaoyun swept a glance. With these densely packed books, if they were to be sold, they would probably only be able to sell for about 100 million immortal jades. Although 100 million immortal jades wasn't a small amount, it was completely insufficient for the Tianji Pavilion. "Master, look at this book." Bai Fengyu also followed Jiangchen and flipped through the bookshelf. A few minutes later, she took a relatively new book and walked in front of Jiangchen and said, Chapter 1573, 9 Dragons Soul Control Formation. Jiangchen said in a low voice as he looked at the yellowish handwriting. "Yeah, it looks pretty good. I just don't know how much it can be sold for." Bai Xiaoyun said that everything would be sold to subsidize the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, so Bai Fengyu naturally thought in this direction. "Chill." Jiangchen hurriedly made a shushing gesture. Seeing that Bai Xiaoyun wasn't even looking at him, he quickly wiped the dust off the book and stuffed it into his clothes. 9 Dragons Soul Control Formation. Just by hearing the name, one could tell that it was a pretty good formation book. Jiangchen was prepared to keep it for himself. If Bai Xiaoyun found out about it, she would definitely urge him to sell it. Jiangchen was prepared to keep it for himself. Otherwise, Wancheng wouldn't have emptied himself out, but the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion would instead. Seeing that Jiangchen was hiding something, Bai Fengyu instantly understood. "Eldest senior brother, did you find any treasures?" After keeping the formation book, Jiangchen walked to Bai Xiaoyun's side. "I think the formations here are pretty good. Maybe we can find something good." "What good things can there be here? It's just some trash. I think we should hurry up and leave. If we stay here for too long, the things outside might have already been taken away by those people from the sects." Bai Xiaoyun indifferently scanned the things here. In her opinion, a pile of dust wasn't enough to attract her attention. "Eldest senior brother, you should sit here and rest for a while." Jiangchen still wanted to look around, but he was worried that Bai Xiaoyun would find out that he was looking for treasures. Thus, he walked to the middle, wiped the dust off the stool, and pushed Bai Xiaoyun to sit there. "All right, you can look around if you want. However, if you discover anything good, you have to tell me immediately. Our Heavenly Secrets Pavilion is currently spending a lot of money. You have to keep this in mind at all times," Bai Xiaoyun reminded as she slowly sat down on a stool. I know. Jiangchen waved his hand, but his eyes were constantly looking around. This secret room looked shabby, but Jiangchen had a vague feeling that there were good things inside. Bai Fengyu had just taken a casual look, but she had already found a good tactical formation book. There were more than 10 bookshelves here, so there must be better books than this one. Of course, he couldn't rule out the possibility that Bai Fengyu's luck was too good and his luck was too bad. Ignoring the dust all over his body, Jiang Chen stood in front of the bookshelves. Bai Fengyu stood by the side and watched. Bai Xiaoyan sat on the stool and stared at the candlesticks in a daze. After sitting for a while, Bai Xiaoyan moved her body, but when she moved, her leg touched the table. Bang! Ah, this wooden table is pretty good. Bai Xiaoyan held his thigh and sucked in a breath of cold air. This touch made his whole person awake, and he kept wailing. Eldest senior brother, what's wrong? Hearing his screams, Jiang Chen immediately rushed over. He thought that Bai Xiaoyan had triggered some mechanism in the secret room and was injured, so he hurriedly asked, I just moved and accidentally bumped into the table. This one might be too old, so it's too hard. My leg is swollen. Bai Xiaoyan rubbed his thigh and said with some dissatisfaction, I thought you triggered some mechanism and got hit by a hidden weapon. Hearing this, Jiang Chen was relieved and casually joked. What a joke. I am a true immortal king. Even if there is a hidden weapon in this secret room, it won't cause any damage to me. Bai Xiaoyan raised his head and said proudly, You could defend against a hidden weapon, but you can't prevent your leg from bumping into the table. Jiang Chen couldn't help but mock that I might have really triggered some mechanism. Just as Bai Xiaoyan was rubbing his thigh and Jiang Chen was about to return to the bookshelves, Bai Fengyu stared at the bottom of the table and said, And Bai Xiaoyan instantly frowned. Look under the table. Bai Fengyu pointed at the bottom of the table and said, What's this? Jiang Chen craned his neck to take a look. He found there was a book under the table that used to be empty. Jiang Chen leaned over and picked up the book on the ground. What is this? An account left behind by an immortal emperor? Bai Xiaoyan glanced at it. It seems to be a mechanism technique. Jiang Chen flipped open 2 pages, and his expression gradually became serious. This book had many diagrams, and these diagrams were basically drawings of mechanisms and hidden weapons. Moreover, there were some annotations below. Good stuff! Bai Xiaoyan glanced at it and said loudly, A mechanism technique left behind by an immortal emperor is not commonly seen. If this thing is sold, it will be worth at least 3 billion immortal jade. Our heavenly secret pavilion's expenses for the next 3 years will be settled. Cough, cough. Jiang Chen coughed. What's wrong? You want to keep it for yourself? Bai Xiaoyan stared at him. Eldest senior brother, I want to read this book myself first. After I understand the contents inside, I will sell it. What do you think? Jiang Chen took a deep breath. All right. Since you want to read it, then keep it. Bai Xiaoyan did not insist. In any case, Jiang Chen was already tied to the heavenly secret pavilion by the white-clothed immortal king. These things would be used to supplement the heavenly secret pavilion sooner or later. It was only a matter of time, and Jiang Chen patted all the dust off the book and quickly put it into his pocket. It seems like there really is something good in the secret room. Little junior brother, we came to the right place. This mechanism technique book directly caused Bai Xiaoyun's eyes to shine. One had to know that the heavenly secret pavilion had been poor for a long time. Previously, when the white-clothed immortal king was in charge, everyone was just eating and waiting for death. There was not even a piece of meat to be found in the entire sect. Now that he had finally tricked Jiang Chen here, he saw an opportunity to revitalize the heavenly secret pavilion. After all, the white-clothed immortal king was not willing to do such a small trick. However, Jiang Chen's temperament was very compatible with his. Bai Xiaoyan was sure that as long as he and Jiang Chen joined forces, it would not be long before the heavenly secret pavilion would definitely become rich. I found another book, but looking at this cultivation method, I estimate that it is only about 300 million immortal jade. Take it, 300 million immortal jade is not a small amount. Master, look at this book. Not bad, 500 million immortal jade at least. What about this book? This book is not bad. At least 1 billion immortal jade. In this secret room, Jiang Chen and the other 2 flipped through almost all the books on the shelves. Of course, they also found a lot of good things. Unknowingly, an hour had passed. On the table that originally only had 1 lit candlestick, there were now more than a dozen books stacked up. These books were all carefully selected. If they were to be sold, each book would be worth at least 300 million. Chapter 1574. And this money would all be used for the expenses of the divine secret pavilion. Looking at these treasures, Bai Xiaoyun's mouth was almost crooked from smiling. She seemed to be imagining how happy her junior brothers and sisters would be when she took all this money back to the sect. Eldest senior brother, I'm afraid it's a little inconvenient to carry these things with us. We won't be able to get the other treasures in the immortal emperor's tomb. Looking at these books, Jiangchen couldn't help but hold his forehead and say, the other sects of the eastern region came here to look for the treasures left behind by the immortal emperor. And no matter how he looked at Bai Xiaoyun, she looked like she was here to buy goods, as if she had died of poverty in her previous life. If he hadn't stopped her, even this broken table would have been taken away. But thinking of this, Jiangchen couldn't help but laugh out loud. It was as if he had already imagined the scene of Bai Xiaoyun selling this table in his mind. The wooden table used by the immortal emperor condenses the wisdom left behind by the immortal emperor. If it's used by a child, advancing to the immortal king realm in the future won't be a dream. Ha! Jiangchen laughed out loud. What are you laughing at? Seeing Jiangchen's strange behavior, Bai Xiaoyun tilted her head and asked, Nothing, I'm just saying that it's too inconvenient for us to carry these things. If we encounter other better treasures, I'm afraid we can't compete with the sects of the eastern region. Jiang Chun waved his hand. He didn't dare to tell Bai Xiaoyun what he was thinking. It doesn't matter. Give these things to those immortal kings you called over first, and let them hold on to them. You're their alliance leader. They can't possibly steal these things away. Moreover, it won't affect our future operations. Bai Xiaoyun laughed. Good girl. Jiangchen couldn't help but give a thumbs up. The immortal kings of the various sects in the overseas immortal mountains were actually porters in front of Bai Xiaoyun. Little junior brother, wait here for a while. I'll send the things up and be back in a while. Bai Xiaoyun immediately did as she said. She directly hugged all the books in her arms and jumped up onto the top. Creak! The door of the room was pushed open. The few heavenly immortal disciples of Heavenly Gem Mountain who were standing outside all took 2 steps back, afraid that they would be discovered. However, when they saw Bai Xiaoyun walking out with a pile of things in her arms, all of them opened their eyes wide. A dignified immortal king. Why did he look like a rag picker? No matter how he looked at the things in his arms, they were all trash. This group of people only thought about it in their hearts, but they didn't dare to say it out loud. They could only hide in the shadows. Ku Wanjun had asked them to keep an eye on Jiang Chun, but he didn't ask them to take the initiative to attack. Moreover, they weren't a match for an immortal king. Bai Xiaoyun's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he handed over the items to the group of people from the overseas immortal mountain. Without any hesitation, he immediately returned from outside. As for the group of celestial kings, due to their relationship with Jiangchen, they could only share a few books with each of them. Junior brother, I'm back. Bai Xiaoyun rushed back like the wind. However, when he saw that there were other books on the bookshelf, he suddenly had other thoughts. Junior brother, I think those immortal kings are very strong. Why don't we take all these things out? Although they aren't anything good, if we sell them all together, we can probably get around 100 million. Jiang Chun was a little helpless. He didn't know what to say. I'm just kidding. We've already taken everything in this room. Let's go to other places to take a look. Maybe there's a basement in every room. Bai Xiaoyun wouldn't waste time on these things. After all, in the immortal emperor's tomb, who knew how many treasures were waiting for him to discover. Okay. Jiang Chun gave Bai Fengyu a look. In the end, he would have to sell this mechanism technique. As for the 9-dragon imperial soul formation, he could keep it completely. Jiang Chun believed that with this formation, it wouldn't be a problem to trap an immortal king. Outside the room, Ku Wanjun also rushed over. What did you guys find? Looking at the few heavenly immortal disciples in front of him, Ku Wanjun quickly asked. Headmaster, Jiang Chun and his 2 companions haven't come out of this room since they entered it. The immortal king with him has moved many things out. They look like junk. One of the disciples hurried to tell the headmaster what he had seen. Immortal king? Moving junk? Ku Wanjun was a little shocked. That's right. The few disciples nodded. I think there's something wrong with your head. A dignified, immortal king moving junk here? Ku Wanjun angrily slapped the disciple's head and scolded in a low voice. Are you guys treating the immortal king like a fool? Sectmaster, what should we do now? The disciple held his head. Those things covered in mold and dust were clearly junk. Stay here and guard. Don't let Jiangchen disappear from our sight. As long as you guys can keep an eye on him, when we return to the sect, I'll provide you with the opportunity to advance to the immortal realm. But if you lose him, don't ever return to the sect. Ku Wanjun said lightly. Understood. The few disciples were frightened and did not dare to say anything else. Ku Wanjun left after saying that. He didn't come here just to attack Jiangchen. He also wanted to get some good stuff from the immortal sovereign's grave so that he could enhance the overall strength of Tianlang Mountain. Right now, in the eastern region, other than their heavenly gem mountain, the strongest sect should be the Thousand Harmonies sect. The overall strength of the Thousand Harmonies sect was stronger than theirs. Moreover, it was rumored that the great elder of the sect had a cultivation base that was not weaker than the three immortal kings. This point could be confirmed from the confrontation between the great elder of the Thousand Harmonies sect and Xianjun. Therefore, he urgently wanted to improve the strength of the sect. This way, he would have more confidence when fighting against the Thousand Harmonies sect in the future. Not long after Ku Wanjun left, Jiangchen and the other two came out of the room. The few disciples immediately retreated and hid. However, even though they thought they were hiding well, Jiangchen could still sense where they were. Looking at the situation outside, Bai Xiaoyan couldn't help but sigh. TSK, it seems like the other sects are not in a good situation. Half an hour ago, before entering the room, there was only one clan that had encountered problems. Now that they came out, the whole tomb was in a mess. There were triggered mechanisms everywhere, hidden weapons shot out, and the people of the sects lying on the ground. It seems like the art of mechanism is quite capable. I guess it must be at least an immortal venerable to be able to leave this place unscathed. Looking at the situation in front of him, Jiangchen couldn't help but sigh. After all, it's an immortal emperor's move. If this group of people can't even block it, wouldn't it be a disgrace to the sect's reputation? As for you, it's not easy to learn half of it, Bai Xiaoyan said. Chapter 1575. That's right. It's already not easy to learn 50% of the things left behind by the immortal emperor. Jiang Chun did not refute. After all, he was only at the third level of the true immortal realm. The things left behind by the immortal emperor were indeed good for him. Even this small secret chamber has such a treasure. I'm afraid there are even greater treasures in this tomb. If we can get them, our heavenly secret pavilion will be rich. Bai Xiaoyan laughed. Eldest senior brother, restrain yourself. Jiangchen instructed in a low voice. I feel more and more that Master handing the heavenly secret pavilion to you was the right choice. Bai Xiaoyan patted Jiangchen's shoulder and praised him generously. Correct. Jiangchen was too lazy to say these things. When he had the chance to meet the white-robed immortal king in the future, he had to tell him about this situation. As the pavilion master of the heavenly secret pavilion, not only did he not gain any benefits, but he had also become a burden. As for the list deduction, Jiangchen did not even want to do it. I think we shouldn't waste any more time. There's a door in front that seems to lead to the interior of the tomb. Many people have already passed through there. By phone, you looked not far away and saw that many people from the sects had disappeared after passing through a white door. So he hurriedly said. Jiangchen did not hesitate and rushed over with Bai Xiaoyan. The disciples of Heavenly Gem Mountain followed closely, afraid that if they were a step late, Jiangchen would disappear in front of them. This white stone door was very tall, about 10 meters or so. The pillars on both sides were carved with some dark and difficult-to-understand symbols. They seemed to have been left behind a long time ago. At this moment, in front of the stone door, many sects from the eastern region stopped. Among them, many of them were holding things in their hands. It seemed that they had found treasures in the tomb. There were also some people who were injured by hidden weapons while searching. Of course, most of them were empty-handed and stood at the back. This group of people were very scheming. Knowing that there was a trap in the mausoleum, they did not act on their own. Instead, they waited for others to scout the situation first. After confirming that there was no problem, they made a move, preserving their own strength to fight for the true treasure left behind by the immortal emperor. "Why aren't you guys going in?" Looking at the stone door in front of her, Bai Xiaoyan couldn't help but ask the people beside her. Seeing that Bai Xiaoyan was an immortal king, the sect leader of a small sect spoke up. "Lord Immortal King, it's not that we don't want to go in, but this stone door is a little strange. Just now, many people wanted to go in, but other than a small number of people, everyone else was blocked outside, as if there's some kind of barrier." Barrier? Jiang Chun scratched his head. Previously, when he and the great elder of the Thousand Harmony sect had come here, they had walked around the mausoleum. Standing on top of it, they could almost see the entire situation inside the mausoleum, but they did not sense the existence of any barrier. "That's right. We find it strange too. However, this barrier doesn't seem to be able to hurt anyone." The sect leader continued. "I'll give it a try." Bai Xiaoyan didn't believe it. With her immortal king cultivation, even if she encountered any situation, it wouldn't be a problem. When Bai Xiaoyan said this, almost everyone's attention was focused on her. Bai Xiaoyan took a deep breath and walked towards the door. Approaching the door, Bai Xiaoyan stretched out her hand, but she didn't sense the existence of the barrier. Instead, she passed through it very easily. Seeing Bai Xiaoyan enter and observe the situation of the stone door for a while, Jiang Chun slowly came up with an answer in his heart. "Feng Yu, let's go too." Jiang Chun turned his head and whispered to Bai Feng Yu. Then he started walking towards the stone door. Just as Jiang Chun had expected, he and Bai Feng Yu didn't run into any obstructions, and they passed through it easily, as if they were passing through an ordinary door, and there wasn't any barrier around them. Behind the door, it was a completely different situation from the outside. When he first entered the tomb, what Jiang Chun saw was a dilapidated situation. It was indeed as if it had been buried underground for a long time. However, after passing through the white door, he saw a very clean situation of the sect. He, Bai Xiaoyan, and the other people who passed through were all standing on an open space. They were stepping on milky white stone bricks, and in front of them, on top of hundreds of steps, was a very majestic palace. This is different from what we saw outside, as expected of the immortal emperor's tomb. If we didn't approach it personally, we wouldn't be able to discover the barrier here. Seeing this scene, Jiang Chun couldn't help but sigh. It seems like it's determined by one's attribute. I guess only people with light attribute can enter. Sensing that everyone inside was emitting light attribute aura, Bai Xiaoyan said. "That's right. It should be like that." Jiang Chun nodded. "However, eldest senior brother, we have to be careful. This place is inside the barrier. It probably isn't as simple as outside. It can even be said that this place is filled with danger. If there's danger, it means that there will definitely be treasures. Youngest junior brother, look at the strength of this group of people. They are all inferior to us. If there are treasures in this palace, they will be ours." Bai Xiaoyan's eyes lit up again. He stared at the palace for a while before saying this. "I wonder what the immortal emperor left behind." Jiang Chun nodded. He agreed with Bai Xiaoyan's words. Those who could enter were indeed inferior to them. However, Jiang Chun didn't know that not long after he, Bai Xiaoyan, and Bai Feng Yu entered, the stone door suddenly turned into a resplendent golden color. And this time, all cultivators with metal attribute could enter. Just as everyone was staring blankly at the palace in front of them, guessing what kind of treasures were inside, an imposing aura suddenly swept out. Those who were slightly weaker were blown back by this imposing aura, and their faces were slowly filled with shock. What's going on? Is the immortal emperor resurrected? Feeling this oppressive aura, these golden immortals, heavenly immortals, and even immortal sovereigns were shocked. They opened their mouths with difficulty and said in a hoarse voice, "This aura was really too powerful. It's not the immortal emperor. It's the aura of an immortal king. It seems to be catching up to master's cultivation." Bai Xiaoyan frowned slightly. The smile on his face disappeared completely. The long sword in his hand appeared as he stared intently at the palace. "What?" Jiang Chun stared at the palace. In the immortal world, Only Xianjun and another immortal king were comparable to the white robe immortal king. And this aura made Jiang Chun feel like he was facing the black sect master. The intensity of these two auras seemed to be on par. Chapter 1576. Thinking of this sect master of the black sect, Jiang Chun was a little hesitant. During the auction, this person attacked him with the cultivation of an immortal king. It was obvious that this person had violated the agreement between the two realms and the agreement of 1,000 years. Could it be that this person was from the outer realm, so the outer realm did not have to abide by these two rules? But now is obviously not the time to think about these things. That was because a man wearing armor and carrying a heavy sword walked out from the palace. As soon as this person appeared, a fierce aura immediately spread out. Some of the people below the golden immortal realm felt that it was a little difficult to breathe. It was as if the entire area was suppressed. Master, I feel a little uncomfortable. Bai Fengyu frowned slightly and clutched her chest. It seems that this immortal emperor's tomb is far from as simple as we thought. Jiang Chun stared at the person in armor and said softly, Fengyu, follow me. If you feel that something is wrong, hide yourself. Okay. Bai Fengyu knew that she was not a match for this person, so she quickly nodded and agreed. What should we do? Could this be an immortal emperor? It doesn't look like it. If it was an immortal emperor, we wouldn't even have the qualifications to see him. This might be the guardian of the immortal emperor's tomb. His cultivation is at least at the immortal king realm. After the armored person floated out of the palace, everyone became vigilant. Facing such a strong tomb guardian, they really had no way to resist. But soon, their gazes landed on Bai Xiaoyan. Why are you all looking at me? Bai Xiaoyan asked curiously when she saw that everyone was looking at her. Lord, you see, among all of us who came in, only your cultivation is at the immortal king realm. You are also the only one who can fight with him. If you can get rid of him, you can take whatever you want in this palace. We will take whatever you don't want. A sect master of a small sect looked at Bai Xiaoyan and asked tentatively, with my strength, even if I don't make a move, I can take whatever I want in here. Hearing this, Bai Xiaoyan laughed. Don't tell me you all think that I have cultivated my brain until it is stupid? The sect master was at a loss for words, not knowing what to say. Indeed, Bai Xiaoyan was the only immortal king standing here. Even if everyone joined forces, they wouldn't be a match for him. But the problem now was that if Bai Xiaoyan didn't make a move, then they wouldn't be able to deal with this tomb keeper. While everyone was talking, the tomb keeper flew down from the top of the palace. However, the strange thing was that there didn't seem to be anyone inside the armor. Although they were all covered by the armor, looking through the gaps of the armor, it was pitch black. Even their facial features couldn't be seen. Leave quickly. Otherwise, those who trespass into the immortal emperor's tomb will die. The tomb keeper raised the broadsword in his hand and pointed it at the people standing at the door. A hoarse and stiff voice came out from the armor, as if it came from millions of years ago, carrying a strong sense of vicissitudes. Eldest senior brother, what do we do now? Jiang Chun tilted his body slightly, so that Bai Fengyu was behind him. Facing a gravekeeper who wasn't any weaker than the three immortal kings, he didn't have any way to deal with him. However, at this moment, it seemed like Bai Xiaoyan was the only person he could rely on. The two of you follow closely by my side. With my strength, it will be a little difficult to deal with him, not to mention that he is from the immortal emperor's tomb. If it really doesn't work, I will escort you out of here. Bai Xiaoyan's body was enveloped in immortal qi, almost displaying all of his abilities. Facing the tomb keeper, he had to go all out. The tomb keeper's words came out, but everyone present didn't have the intention to leave. If you don't leave, kill. The tomb keeper's body erupted with an even stronger aura. The moment the voice came out from the armor, the tomb keeper instantly disappeared from the spot. Everyone, including Bai Xiaoyan, felt their hair stand on end. They looked around vigilantly, afraid that this tomb keeper with the strength of an immortal king would suddenly appear in front of them. The sect master of the small sect who spoke to Bai Xiaoyan just now was forming a formation with a few immortals in the sect preparing to resist the Tomb Keeper. When their formation just appeared, a cloud of smoke and dust appeared in front of them. Then, the Tomb Keeper's broadsword seemed to come out of the void and stabbed forward fiercely. It was just that this simple sword directly pierced into their formation. Pucci, the sect master, who was standing at the front of the formation, bore the brunt of the attack and was directly pierced by the broadsword. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face was full of shock. With the strength of an immortal venerable, not to mention fighting against the Tomb Keeper, he couldn't even see the Tomb Keeper's moves clearly. Sect Master, after the formation collapsed, a few immortals immediately rushed forward and protected the Sect Master tightly. Get out of here, quickly! Seeing that the Tomb Keeper was still in front of him, the Sect Master used all of his strength to push these people back. Buzz! The sound of wind breaking was heard. The broadsword directly cut 7 or 8 people in half at the waist. These people didn't even have the chance to resist and directly lost their lives. For a moment, blood slowly seeped out of the snow-white floor tiles. The smell of blood spread, making people feel numb after smelling it. When the other people who were prepared to fight saw this situation, they were so scared that their legs turned to jelly. They had no way to resist this kind of attack. Once the Tomb Keeper rushed in front of them, they were afraid that they would have the same ending. Leave this place. This is not a place that we can run to. Let's look at the area outside. Maybe we can find some good things. If we continue to stay here, I'm afraid we will die too. What are you waiting for? Let's go quickly. In an instant, a few sects and families immediately made the decision. When the idea appeared in their minds, they didn't care about other things and turned to rush out of the door. Bang! Unfortunately, when they rushed to the door and were about to step out of the stone door, they seemed to have hit a wall. Oh no! This place is sealed. Is there any other way to leave this place? I don't know. I'm afraid we are all going to die here today. Unable to leave through the stone door, this group of people suddenly panicked. It was as if they could see their ending, just like the entire sect just now. Slash! The Tomb Keeper appeared again. On the broadsword, there was still a lot of steaming blood dripping on the stone floor. Now that things have come to this, let's disperse. Whether we can escape from here depends on our own fate. The Tomb Keeper approached step by step, under such a huge and terrifying pressure that almost lost the ability to think. Chapter 1577. The only thing they wanted to do was to use their most primitive instincts. Escape from here. When they decided to run away, the originally empty place instantly became chaotic. The Tomb Keeper chased after everyone, and when he lost his target, he would chase after the closest one. Among these people, the stronger ones were able to dodge, while the weaker ones were heavily injured or even killed by the Tomb Keeper. Instantly, miserable screams rang out. The smell of blood also filled the entire barrier. How scary! By phone you hid in Jiang Chen's hand, both hands tightly holding on to Jiang Chen's arm, afraid that the Tomb Keeper would suddenly appear in front of them. Little junior brother, what are you thinking? Bai Xiaoyan continued to observe the Tomb Keeper's attacks, the serious expression on his face gradually softening. Although the Tomb Keeper's strength was only slightly weaker than the white-robed Immortal King, he was very slow. He only had strength but no combat experience. It was enough to deal with these golden immortals or immortals, but to an immortal king like Bai Xiaoyan, he was almost no threat. What about you? Hearing this, Jiang Chun felt that something was wrong with Bai Xiaoyan. I thought you knew me very well. Little junior brother, look, these people are enough to block him for a period of time. Why don't we take this opportunity to sneak into the palace and see if we can find anything good? Bai Xiaoyan suddenly laughed. So ruthless. Jiang Chun directly gave a thumbs up. Should we do it? Bai Xiaoyan asked. Of course, why not? This is the best opportunity. A smile appeared on Jiang Chen's face. When the Tomb Keeper attacked these sects, Jiang Chen already had this idea. However, thinking that these people were dying outside, it didn't seem appropriate for him to go in and search for treasures. But what Jiang Chen didn't expect was that Bai Xiaoyan was even more shameless than him. However, this idea was exactly what Jiang Chen wanted. Ha ha, as expected of my junior brother. If we weren't in the same sect, I would really want to become sworn brothers with you. Bai Xiaoyan burst out laughing when she heard what Jiang Chen had said. She put her arm around Jiang Chen's shoulder, looking very close to him. Big brother? Jiang Chen joked. Second brother. Bai Xiaoyan immediately replied, Let's go, little junior brother. Let's see if there are any treasures worth taking in this immortal emperor's palace. After observing for a while, seeing that the tomb keeper's target was still the group of people who were constantly escaping, Jiang Chen and the other two immediately rushed into the palace with all their strength. In the blink of an eye, they were already standing at the entrance of the palace. This immortal emperor really knows how to enjoy life. It's just a palace, but it's actually so luxurious. And this is only the middle part of the tomb. I really don't know how many treasures there are in the second half, in his main tomb. Seeing the situation inside the palace, Bai Xiaoyan couldn't help but sigh. Let's go in first. Who knows? The tomb keeper might target us later. Seeing that there were still many areas and closed doors in the palace, Jiang Chen quickly brought Bai Fengyu inside. Wait for me. Bai Xiaoyan waved his hand and quickly followed. After entering the palace, the three of them directly went inside to avoid direct contact with the tomb keeper. Moreover, they retracted their aura so that they could delay for as long as possible. Inside the palace, it was divided into 3 areas. The first area was in the middle of the palace. There was a very exquisite chair made of rare stone. It should be where the immortal emperor sat. Little junior brother, come here. Bai Xiaoyan went to the back. After a while, his voice came out. Jiang Chen and Bai Fengyu quickly followed. At the back, Bai Xiaoyan opened a door and stood in front of it. Is there no mechanism here? Jiang Chen asked curiously. I don't think so. I pushed it lightly and it opened. No arrows shot out and I didn't feel anything wrong. But look inside, it's all good stuff. Bai Xiaoyan opened his eyes wide and looked inside. His saliva was about to drip down. Medicinal herbs? Looking up, Jiang Chen saw that the room was densely packed with withered branches and plants. To be able to be collected by the immortal emperor, it was definitely not withered grass. It should be right. I've seen some medicinal herbs before. As for those that I haven't seen before, I don't know if they're too low-grade or so high-end that even I can't touch them. But I can be sure that all of them are good stuff. Bai Xiaoyan walked in and reached out to pick up a tree branch. This tree branch was only the length of an arm. Although it had long withered, it was black and white. It looked a little different. Black and white twin tree. Jiang Chen blurted out, You recognize this thing? Bai Xiaoyan was a little puzzled. He had seen this medicinal herb in the white robe immortal king's treasure attic. It was said that it had the effect of strengthening one's foundation and increasing one's cultivation. It was one of the more precious medicinal herbs in the entire immortal world. Bai Xiaoyan didn't expect that Jiang Chen, who had just entered the sect, would be able to recognize it at a glance. I've seen it before. Realizing that he had said something wrong, Jiang Chen hurriedly explained. But what Bai Xiaoyan didn't know was that when he was still immortal King Tian Shun, this black and white twin tree didn't enter his eyes at all. There was even one time when he brought the sect's personal disciples to the backyard of the sect to roast wild game. He even specially cut down a few trees to start a fire. I see. This black and white twin tree's appearance is not bad. Unfortunately, it's withered and its medicinal efficacy is greatly reduced. But it's still not a problem to sell it for tens of millions of immortal jade. Bai Xiaoyan didn't doubt it and directly held it in his hand. But with just the 3 of us, if we want to take all of these medicinal herbs out, the tomb keeper outside will be the first to disagree. These medicinal herbs are not as valuable as the books we got. Eldest senior brother, I think it's better to choose some useful ones. Jiang Chen walked inside and began to choose among the medicinal herbs. But after all, this was the first time he had come to the immortal world in this life. Even he didn't recognize some of the medicinal herbs here. There are so many good things. You guys better not take them all for yourselves. You have to share some with us. Just as Jiang Chen was choosing, a voice suddenly came from behind him. Who are you? Jiang Chen hurriedly turned his head and protected by Fengyu behind him. Wan Shou sect leader, Chiu Wanli. The middle-aged man in luxurious clothes clasped his hands towards Jiang Chun and said politely. But his eyes were not kind at all. On the contrary, they were very sinister. No, you're a wood attribute cultivator. How can you enter this light attribute boundary? Bai Xiaoyan scrutinized the other party. Chapter 1578. What do you know? All the disciples of our Wanshou sect have dual attributes. Entering this barrier of light is a piece of cake. Seeing that you are an immortal king, I will negotiate with you. This is the tomb of the immortal emperor in our eastern domain. Leave half of it to us, and we will work together to get rid of the tomb keeper outside. How about it? Qiu Wanli stood in front of a few experts and said directly to Bai Xiaoyan. Although he was also an immortal king, he was still a little weaker than Bai Xiaoyan. Fortunately, there were many experts behind him, so he had the confidence to speak to Bai Xiaoyan. So what if you have dual attributes? Looking at the arrogant look on Qiu Wanli's face, Jiang Chun could not help but ridicule. Before he could say anything about his 5 attributes, his dual attributes were already jumping up and down. It was as if he had dual attributes and stood at the peak of the immortal world. You! Qiu Wanli turned his gaze to Jiang Chun. However, when he thought of the battle between Jiang Chun and Xian Er, he immediately lost his temper. All right, we found this place first. Since you are here, then hurry up and look elsewhere. Who knows, you might find something better than here. But there is one thing. Don't point to our things. Bai Xiaoyan stared at Qiu Wanli. If this person did not agree, then he would immediately attack. Although they were both immortal kings, he was confident that he could subdue Qiu Wanli within 10 moves. All right, Qiu Wanli pondered for a while and was about to agree. But before he could finish his words, Jiang Chun said, Wait, I can give you half of the herbs here, but I have a condition. You have to let me choose one of the things you found in this palace. What do you think? Kid, are you dreaming? What if we find some treasure and you ask us for it? How can these herbs compare to it? Qiu Wanli was not a fool. Naturally, he rejected Jiang Chun's request. If you agree, then give it. If you don't agree, then don't give it, Jiang Chun said with a smile. Sect leader, this kid is a little unusual. Don't fall into his trap. Someone immediately reminded. What do you know? Didn't you hear what he said? Qiu Wanli scolded in a low voice. If he fancies something, we will only give it to him if we agree. If we don't agree, then we won't give it to him. When the time comes, we can just keep the good stuff to ourselves. This half-house of medicinal herbs is the good stuff left behind by the immortal emperor. Kid, I agree. How are you going to split the herbs here? Qiu Wanli looked at Jiang Chun. I only need this. The rest is yours. Jiang Chun pointed at the small pile of herbs beside him. Other than that, everything else is yours. Good. Qiu Wanli's eyes lit up. Little brother, I can tell that you're a dragon among men. You have quite a lot of medicinal herbs. How about this? I'll give you a storage ring. This was made by Xianzong. With it, you can easily bring this small pile of medicinal herbs out. As if he was worried that Jiang Chun would go back on his word, Qiu Wanli took out a small profit. It's barely usable. Jiang Chun looked at the gray storage ring. He could have as much of this thing as he wanted, but now it did have some use. Hurry up and move all the herbs away. The tomb keeper is outside. If he kills all the small sects, he will find us. Seeing Jiang Chun keep the small pile of herbs, Qiu Wanli hurriedly called for the people behind him to put all the herbs into the storage ring. Sect leader, don't forget what you just promised me. Otherwise, those immortal kings waiting for me outside will not let you leave this place so easily. Jiang Chun casually kept the storage ring. No problem, no problem, Qiu Wanli agreed. After they left, Bai Xiaoyan sighed heavily. Little brother, how could you promise him like that? He took away 90% of the herbs here. And even if you find any treasure, what if he doesn't give it to you? Bai Xiaoyan said helplessly. While you were talking to him, I collected all the precious herbs in this room. Now, they're all with me. The things he took, added together, are not even a third of the value. Seeing that the people of Wanshou sect had completely left, Jiang Chun revealed the truth to Bai Xiaoyan. Then what if they find the treasure and don't give it to you? Bai Xiaoyan was still a little worried. Eldest brother, with their eyesight, do you think they can distinguish the treasures left behind by immortal Emperor Qin? Jiang Qin directly laughed. Hiss. Bai Xiaoyan frowned, then slapped Jiang Qin on the shoulder. What you said makes sense, but how do you know which herbs are valuable? When I was in the sect, I saw an old book left behind by my master. When I was bored, I read it and understood a little, but I felt that book was useless, so I threw it away after reading it. Jiang Qin's brain worked quickly and came up with a reason. Not bad, not bad. With you here, our Heaven's Secret Pavilion will live a good life from now on. Bai Xiaoyan couldn't help but give Jiang Qin a thumbs up. Okay, eldest brother, now that Wan Shou sect has escaped the Tomb Keeper's pursuit, we have to move faster. Looking at the situation outside, Jiang Qin hurried to the other rooms. Outside the palace, there were about 50 people from the 7 sects who came in with Jiang Qin, but now there were less than 20 people left. These people from the previous escape had turned into a desperate fight. They understood that it was impossible to escape from the enchantment set up by the immortal emperor. The only thing they could do was to fight the Tomb Keeper in front of them. If they could get rid of this thing, they might be able to keep their lives. However, these sects had sacrificed more than 30 people, and the ground was covered with corpses and blood, but the Tomb Keeper's armor only had shallow scratches and was not affected at all. Not only the enchantment of light, but the other enchantments of the 4 attributes were also in the same situation. Sects like Qinna's sect and Tianlang Mountain, which were relatively strong, could easily avoid the Tomb Keeper. As for those small clans, they were also very miserable. Only the sect master and elders, who were slightly stronger, could still hold on. The disciples of Golden Immortal Realm or Immortal Realm were all buried. Little brother, when the Tomb Keeper comes in later, think of a way to make it attack Wan Shou sect. As long as the people of Wan Shou sect fall here, then everything they got will be ours again. Looking at the people of Wan Shou sect not far away, Bai Xiaoyan whispered, "You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."